Hello, and welcome back, my wonderful tome readers. Today we are testing out a concept and a setup for an upcoming raid train I'm going to participate in. Those of you who maybe were here last year, let's see, it's the Rainbow Sentai Queer Ranger raid train, hosted in part by Azzy, Madeline the Alchemist, Snazzy, that's it, Snazzy, and Madeline the Alchemist. On Twitch, we regularly try to raid into, because they are good friends, some of the good friends of the channel. And yeah, well, not every stream is going to be themed around Sentai heroes and whatnot. It is a Pride charity event. If I recall correctly, the charity we're doing this year is a much more global presence than last time. It is GATE, which I can't remember what all the letters stand for. I know it's global something something, but it is an organization, a charitable organization that globally reaches out to assist people who are trans and help them out, who help support them. Because it's one of the groups who has been really suffering the past few months with the Oompa Loompa in charge. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm also trying to do something new. As you can see up in the top left, we have the Spirit City Lo-Fi to set some background audio. Because the game we are playing, Heroes Rise, does not have any audio. It also doesn't have much in the way of visuals either. It is a superhero adventure path, pretty much a branching path novel with a few different endings that end more or less the same way, because this is actually the first in a trilogy of games. I've never actually played any of these games on stream because there are no visuals, there's no audio, but I really like them. Especially the company that hosts these, Choice Is Games, has a lot of really good ones. They let you choose your pronouns, and not just he, she, they. A few of the games actually have it so you can literally choose what you want those pronouns to be. You can just type them in. If you want it to be fucking attack helicopter for the meme, yeah, you can do that, sure. Or you can choose whatever neo pronouns you go by without them having to be a preset, which is nice. And you can also choose how your character would like to present themselves, which will allow for antagonistic characters to intentionally misgender you or just all around be a dick about it. So it's nice that it allows that sort of variety. Because it is all text, it has to change a couple things automatically depending on those inputs. But otherwise, doesn't really have to affect the gameplay. It's a superhero story. Your gender identity is not going to be the most important thing because you're hopefully going to be out there saving lives. So it's nice. But yeah, before we go into that, I'm going to start with showing off Spirit City Lo-Fi for those unfamiliar with it, which is this window. So we'll expand it a little bit for the moment so I can actually show off. We can choose our activity, though I have a lot of the frame closed off so you can have a larger, more readable image, even though I've shrunk it. Yeah, here on the bed we can relax, we can game, we can browse. We can also go over here to the desk, which it's like in the spirit of the original lo-fi beats mix. Just right at your desk, type away, be a bit more modern, do some gaming with your familiar creature, or even do some drawing. You can go over, sit by the fireplace. We have some other options like just sipping away at a drink or knitting. And finally, there's the bay window. We also have meditating. You can just kind of chill there, look out the window, longingly. Or just straight up do some cleaning here. But yeah, for the purpose of this stream, we're going to chill with some reading. Close that here. And can I just undo button that? Yes, perfect. Lock in place. It was easy for me. So, yeah, without further ado, Heroes Rise, the Prodigy. Actually, no, a little further ado. One of the plans for the charity stream is to do Spirit City Lo-Fi and art. But because I can get kind of distracted when in art, focused on the creation aspect, for this test I'm going to do this little adventure path type story, just so I can every once in a while go back over to OBS, take a look at the arrangement, see how I feel about it. It might be for the charity stream itself I do a much larger version of Spirit City Lo-Fi and just side by side with my art. Maybe I don't have the chat visible. Maybe I don't have myself visible. Who's to say? But yeah, that's why the test today. So now, without further ado, Heroes Rise the Prodigy. Type of game where we actually have stats. Depending on our choices, things will change. Some of the more important stuff is how much power we have left, how much health we have left. Not so much, but can affect things, how much money we have. Of course, the most important thing for any hero is how much of a legend we are. As well as when we meet new people, because romancing someone is an option. This is where it'll show where exactly we fall with them. As well as up here, you might have seen how we fall in regards to wanting fame versus pursuing justice. A lawless, perhaps more chaotic approach to heroism, or following the law as much as we can, and so on with offensive defensive, working by ourselves or as part of a team. Achievements, not too important. For those of you interested, there is a demo completely playable online because it's just text. Part 1, Legend has it. First chapter, Homeward Bound. A helicopter blade slices through the air inches away from your face, filling your nostrils with the smell of burning metal. You don't have time to process this, however, as a ball of flame unfurls in your direction. You leap onto a neighboring rooftop and tumble around a smoldering chunk of engine. Today was supposed to be your day off, but when you saw a news chopper careening out of control above the city, you couldn't just stand by like a common pedestrian. As you pull clear of the wreckage, you see that the ejected pilot floats high above the rooftops from a parachute, one that is crawling with licks of flame. It won't be long before the parachute burns through and the pilot drops hundreds of stories to his death. So how are you going to save him? We can choose to rip up the cables that run along the roof, use them as a lasso to bring the pilot down. We can use a zip cord from our wrist holster to reel in the pilot. Or we can forget the pilot. He'll be able to steer himself onto one of the rooftops. It's much more important to stop the burning wreckage from falling to the busy streets below. Of these three, let's focus on the big AoE. Yes, there are some licks of flame on the parachute, but we are going to trust that he can take care of himself as we help the bystanders who may not have noticed the flaming wreckage fall. You spin around and see the severed tail of the helicopter teetering on a ledge. You rush back across the rooftop, stopping from falling, completely forgetting about the chunk of fuel-soaked engine that you dodged before. As you approach the helicopter tail, an explosion rocks the engine. A blast of heat hits you full force, searing the skin from your bones. As your vision fades to black, you remove the virtual reality helmet and end your 3D gaming experience. You blink several times to adjust to the sunlight of the room, which pours in through sleek glass windows. Then you look across the conference table at a buttoned-up executive eyeing you. "So, what do you think? They really ramped up the graphics, right?" she blurts out. "Oh, don't spoil the surprise. Take the game home for your full report. You can collect your advance from the front desk on your way out. Thanks, as always, we are virtuous reality's best game tester, but this executive still doesn't know your name. You force a smile and remind her that you are named, and we are going to go with Lucy. Right, Lucy. Always a pleasure. The executive then strides out the door, no doubt on her way to a more important meeting. So you walk toward the front desk alone, thinking you'd much rather be out there saving real helicopter crashes than testing fake ones. But hey, at least it pays the bills. Though, not very well. You think you accept a deposit for $100 at the front desk. Adding this amount to your bank account brings you to a grand total of $2,100. Not exactly rolling in dough, are you? So we can go ahead and check our stats. Completely unchanged because it's all virtual reality. Pretty much giving us a warning to be more attentive to the description. It's like we knew that there was a fuel-soaked engine that we had narrowly dodged. Going towards the further wreckage is what caused us to just, well, catch it right in the face. But we push all thoughts of money from our mind as you exit into the bustling streets of Millennia City. Nestled on America's west coast between LA and San Francisco, Millennia City is the shining beacon of 22nd century progress. Not to mention the city you've called home for your entire life. You step in the crowd next to a woman whose skin is covered in fishy scales, each one reflecting a different color. You suppose this might surprise some people, but not you. NYC has finance, LA has entertainment, DC has politics, but MC has heroes. It's the powered capital of the country. A fact you're reminded of as a sonic boom pulses through the air. You look up to see twin blondes rocketing across the sky, a cloud of smoke left in their wake. You sigh, knowing that you belong up there with the legends instead of down here with the masses. These days, one out of every 3 people is born with powered abilities, and pretty much every one of them wants to be a hero. Especially now that powered heroes are eclipsed movie stars and music icons set the standard for A-list celebrity. I'm just gonna turn down volume for myself. There we go. So you would also love to be flying home right now, considering you have the power to fly. However, after one too many gruesome mid-air collisions, the Department for the Regulation of Powered Resources, or DERPR, designated the skies for government-licensed travelers only. So flying is definitely off limits for you, but do you let that stop you? Absolutely. Heroes are meant to enforce the law, not break it. Breaking the law now will only hinder our heroic rise later, so you know you'll just have to be patient. Extremely patient, considering that if you were a big-time hero, you could be flying home in a fraction of the time. As you walk down the Metroway platform, you pay for the ticket by rolling up your sleeve and accessing your Me Chip, a bit of personal tablet technology embedded in the underside of your wrist. Not too long ago, people used paper slips to pay for things and little plastic devices for phones, but that was all before communication, identification, entertainment, and banking functions became standard in Me Chips. Each Me Chip comes fully customizable with robotic personality programming that adapts to your habits and desires. There are 3 standard templates available for the robotic personality, and we decided to go with the sportive caretaker. Because you see, it doesn't matter who watches the Watchmen, who saves the heroes. What matters is who cares for a hero when they are done caring for complete strangers. Supportive caretaker it is. We then decide to name the Me Chip caretaker. Let's go with Poppy. It's a fun name. I've paid for your ticket, Lucy, Me Chip Poppy says inside your head in a soothing voice. All Me Chip functions are connected directly to your senses, so Poppy floats in front of your eyes thanks to holographic imaging wired to your retinas. Only you are able to see Me Chip Poppy, who appears as a girthy woman wearing an apron. It costs $2. Have a very pleasant journey, Poppy says before fading away. Waiting on the platform, you spot an old-fashioned newsstand and decide to reward your flying restraint with a gossip magazine. Usually you try to get your hero news from more credible sources, but you secretly love the trashy magazines. So you skim the screen that runs across the newsstand, looking over the digital covers displayed. You then wave your meat chip, aim to purchase, well, I mean, if we're going for the absolute raggiest of the rags, the dirt rag for only $1. How reputable is it? Well, specializing in the comings and goings of famous powered villains. Most of the articles in the dirt rag are pure fiction. Occasionally, though, the rag does have some credible leads for aspiring heroes like ourselves. We finally emerge from the metro way in our neighborhood, MC's Eastern Fringes, which consist mostly of public housing projects, pawn shops, and liquor marts. Despite its charm, the Fringes are still home, so you start to relax as you approach your apartment building. A loud crunch of glass snaps your senses to attention. Half a block up, you spot a body that has been thrown through the windshield of a car. A teenage boy with writhing snakes coiled around his outstretched arms stands on the sidewalk nearby. Before you can even blink, the body in the windshield leaps into the sky. It's another teenage boy whose woolly knees bend backwards like a goat. Slugger, you curse to yourself. Another animal gang fight. The Eastern Fringes are home to a large portion of the animalistic powered population, widely known to have the most interspecies tension. There's an especially fierce feud between the two local anagangs, the Cloven and the Scales. As Goat Boy bounds through the air, Snake Boy reacts. His arm snakes surge forward, straightening their impossibly long bodies and clamping onto Goat Boy's thighs with their teeth. Snake Boy then whips his arms back, using the snakes as levers to smash Goat Boy into the pavement. Knowing Goat Boy won't be able to survive much more snake thrashing, you run toward the scene, and we're going to continue to act first and fast. Jump into the fray, striking hard and fast. You're on Snake Boy so fast, he doesn't even see you coming. In addition to your flight powers, you also have the ability to generate and wield surges of energy. Which power set do we want to utilize? We're going to go... It may cost a little bit more energy, but we're going to go with a focused blast of energy. Palms facing outward, we concentrate on activating our energy powers, feeling a familiar pressure built up in our forearms, and with one push, a burst of energy erupts from our hands. The blast connects with Snake Boy's torso, knocking him into a nearby wall. With Snake Boy diverted, you turn our attention back to Goat Boy. He's always bounding up the street, bleeding curses as he flees, which is just as well. Your only goal here was to stop the teens from killing each other, since getting involved is technically an illegal act of vigilantism. Before any powered individual can start a career as a professional hero, he or she must apply for a powered hero license. To lessen the number of applicants, the Derper makes the process rather lengthy and expensive. You've completed all the paperwork, passed the power competency tests, but you've been saving up for a while to pay the hefty application fee. So, with Goat Boy gone and Snake Boy neutralized, it's time to leave before you get into any unnecessary trouble. They're at it for almost 5 minutes and no one did a thing. You turn around to find a mother and her young daughter standing on the sidewalk, both looking relieved. The mother presses a tissue to the little girl's forehead against a small cut. They were locking the door to our building. Mother says, "We tried to run inside, but got hit with some debris. These Anagang fights have been getting so much worse lately. Anyway, who do I have to thank for stopping them?" We're going to stay anonymous. We don't do good deeds like this for the attention, especially since it's not even legal yet. I'm just doing my part to keep the neighborhood safe, you say? Shake her hand. Well, thank you. Are you a real life powered hero? The girl whispers, gazing up at you. Oh, yes they are, Mother answers. Just to get home safely. He says you continue towards home, not wanting to admit you aren't a real hero. At least not yet. When you finally walk into your apartment, you're hit with the familiar fragrance of flowers. That's thanks to your grandma, who's also powered. Her special ability enables her to communicate with plants. So as far back as you can remember, Grandma's filled your home with every kind of flower and foliage imaginable. Your apartment's always felt like a lush greenhouse, and you couldn't imagine it any other way. Drop your bag near the door and approach your favorite flower. The Bronzina, which is maybe not the most creatively named. Bronzina is a bronze-rusted rose from a species with metallic foliage that Grandma spent years breeding. Lean in to get a whiff of the rose, which always smells faintly of caramel. Another one of Grandma's unique touches. I'm afraid Bronzina has been especially cross with me today, Grandma says, entering from the living room. I had to dethorn her this morning, and now she feels particularly vulnerable. You know how roses get about their thorns, such a sore point. Well, tell Bronzina I think she's still a stunner. Thorns or no thorns, you say, approaching Grandma. You know Grandma better than anyone, so you describe her style as practical. Grandma mostly cares about tending her plants, so she wears overalls with gardening tools in the pockets, keeps her hair tied back at all times. You kiss her hello, then step back and point to the new video game you've brought home. Another whopping virtuous reality deposit to add to the pot. Every little bit helps, you know that, Grandma says. If only I could teach one of those little darlings to grow money for leaves. If anyone can do it, it's you, Gran, you say, walking through the kitchen. What are we having for dinner? I'm starving. But you stop short as you see the feast laid out on the kitchen table. Here's Grandma has cooked our favorite meal. Happy birthday, she says with a grin, hugging your side, and an hour later, you finally push your plate away, your stomach uncomfortably full. You love Grandma's cooking, but it's usually pretty heavy. All meat, bread, and pasta, since vegetables tend to scream at Grandma when she tries to eat them. Well, now that you've eaten a proper meal, I can finally give you your present, Grandma says, turning to a shelf above the table where several potted plants sit. Their leafy vines hang down across the wall and create a lush green curtain. Guadalupe, will you please? And at Grandma's request, the nearest vine swings toward you, an envelope nestled between its lowest leaves. Go ahead, take it. I can't wait any longer. Grandma practically squeals. Knowing it'd be useless to object, you open the envelope, which is made of silk fabric, never paper, and pull out a card made entirely out of dried rose petals. Grandma never lets anything go to waste, especially not the remains of her best friends. And while this rose card is especially lovely, you're really stunned by what's inside. A brand new, Derper-issued, Powered Hero license. For you. You read the license, double-checking that the information listed really belongs to you. Department for the Regulation of Powered Resources Hero License. Our name is Lucy Sterling. And our gender. Let's see. We're gonna go with none of these options suit me. Go as they, her. How we present is how we represent. Oh, wait. It's been a while, and I have screwed up just a little bit. Alright, well, thanks to it being a text game, we can just choose the same things we already have. We're going to do that. Restart. Go through as quickly as we can. We did that. blast ourselves, create our own first name of Lucy. Let's see. Force law, don't break it. Support the caretaker. We want Poppy. Dirt rag. Skip. Yeah, strike hard and fast. Focus blast. Stay anonymous. Yep. Francina. She's practical. Practically dressed grandma. And we'll go signed male, but truly female. Aha, it didn't let us do that either. Ah, well. Well, we'll just stick with this for the rest of it. I'm fine with all female pronouns. But we are going to go with female, attracted to women. One of the things that I'm a little uncomfortable with is that this hero license has our marital status, which seems weird for a hero, and what's worse, orientation. Since the 21st century political disputes regarding sexual orientation and marriage, the government has required all citizens to declare their orientation along with their marital status. You may think it's a bit of an invasion of privacy, but it is a required field in your application, which is fucked up. Especially for a hero, which in this society, from my various playthroughs to 100% them, is a little authoritarian. We're public servants to a degree. We can get sued for the damages with some help from the government to cover them. But we serve the public at large. See, yes, you don't mind too much about the requirement to declare your orientation. Incorrect, whatever. However, since it came after the hard-fought legalization of marriage equality. This is where it starts differing from our current timeline. Though I got this game years before same-sex marriage was legalized in the US. It's not a super old game, but same-sex marriage is, what, less than 12 years old at this point? And it didn't look all that possible at the time of this game, so ahead of its time, but currently behind ours. But our code name, we're gonna go with Ferris. That's right. Our everyday mild-mannered self, we are Lucy, but when the mask's on, we are simply Ferris. Again, a weird thing to have on our hero license, both our government name and our code name. So if, we lose this mid-fight, we're fucked. But we stare down in disbelief at the license. Grandma's just given us the best birthday present ever. How? You start to ask, not sure. And someone just need to pay the outstanding bill on your application. But Gran, this is too much. We can't possibly afford. Hush, Grandma says, crossing her arms. I'd spend all that extra potpourri money on something useful, didn't I? Ever practical. Grandma smiles at us, then looks at the tree in the corner of the kitchen. She nods, and right on cue, the tree begins to shake, letting loose a shower of sparkling seeds. Grandma only has that old tree shake shimmers on the most special of occasions. Thank you, Gran. It's only what you deserve, Lucy, Grandma says, leaning back in her chair and stroking the shimmer tree. Besides, it's what your parents would have wanted. Chapter 2, By the Roots. Once upon a time, your parents, the Sound and the Fury, were Millennia City's most famous powered couple. When they met in high school, they discovered that your mother's ability to generate vocal sonic waves perfectly complemented your father's ability to harness sound energy. Almost immediately after they arrived on MC's hero scene, the public became enamored with their budding romance and their harmonious power set. As they rose rapidly to the hero A-list, no villain was too dangerous for them to battle, and no party was too exclusive for them to attend. This meant that you got to spend your childhood immersed in MC's finest hero high life, knowing that someday you'd fight alongside your parents as a famous hero. Until your 13th birthday, it was going to be the best night of your life, the first time your powers might begin to manifest. Your parents were at a press conference speaking about one of their recent successes, shutting down an assassin training academy masquerading as a public high school. They were supposed to say a few words about the mission, then come straight home to celebrate your big night. Which, we're going to pause the story for a bit, is a little presumptuous for a villain. An assassin training academy masquerading as a public high school. It's like, how? I could see if it was I'm blanking on the term, but one of those schools where there's like dorms for the students, but it's not a college, so you live there, your clubs are accessible there, you pretty much never have to leave campus, except for, say, family event outside. So I could see that. It'd be a lot easier to keep it on the hush-hush. But a fucking public high school training assassins, some dumbass is gonna brag about it. Come on. But however, just as they were preparing to leave, a young villainess crashed the event. She was Miss Artillery, one of the Assassin Academy's teachers, and she entered ranting about how the sound and the fury had ruined her life. She quickly went on the offensive with her power to generate weaponry, and your parents moved to apprehend her. But for some strange reason, perhaps because they were in such a rush to get home to you, they miscalculated their joint attack. What became the biggest news story of the year, the sound and the fury murdered Miss Artillery by blowing out her heart. While your father used his sound-enhanced strength to restrain Miss Artillery, your mother aimed to disable her with a quick sonic blast. You still don't know whether your mother misjudged the strength of her blast or your father miscalculated the angle. Either way, when the blast cleared, Miss Artillery was twisted up in your father's arms, her fingers clutching her chest. This certainly wasn't the first time a hero had accidentally used fatal force against a villain. Traditionally, this mistake would require a fair amount of community service and a hefty fine, especially for heroes of your parents' caliber. However, this accident came on the heels of a recent string of excessive hero-on-villain brutality, and their case fell into the hands of the Judge Victon, an up-and-comer who was making a play to become MC's mayor. Deciding that a harsh ruling would set the perfect example for his zero-tolerance campaign against heroic brutality, Judge Victon passed the harshest sentence ever given to a powered hero. Citing a murderous misuse of powered ability, he sentenced your parents to a life term in the Devoid, a maximum security facility for cowards, without visitation rights. The last time you saw your parents was on the day of that infamous sentencing, right before the police escorted them to the Devoid. You'll never forget the image of your mother and father in orange jumpsuits, handcuffed and shamed, their spirits broken. Judge Victon wouldn't even let them hug you goodbye. Your mom couldn't stop crying as the police escorted her away, but as your dad followed, he turned to you and said the words you'd come to live by. Don't let this stop you, Lucy. Become a hero. For us. Not a way to put on the shoulders of a 13-year-old, but go off. Your father could not have known the profound effect those words would have on you, especially after his unjust treatment at the hands of the legal system. As a result, you have very strong beliefs regarding the law. I have no problem with breaking the law, but I try to follow it whenever it seems reasonable enough. Not flying around without a license, disturbing the air traffic patrols and whatnot. After the trial, your parents' considerable fortune was transferred to Miss Artillery's estate, and you were assigned to live with your only living relative, your grandma. However, moving in with her wasn't so simple. Over the course of their careers, your parents had amassed a deadly collection of enemies. each of whom would be thrilled to seek revenge on the Sound and the Fury's now defenseless family. So the court enrolled you and Grandma in the Powered Family Protection Program, or pretty much. You and Grandma were given brand new identities. The Sterling name was assigned to you, though you at least got to keep your first name. Grandma suddenly found herself forced to live on a pitiful stipend, and had to move you into a small apartment in the Eastern Fringes. She also had to pull you out of your fancy powered-only private school and enroll you in a local public school. In the course of a few short months, your life became entirely unrecognizable to you. It has never been the same since. That's why every day you remind yourself who you really are. And your real family name, well, let's go with what would be really fun to do. It'd be funny for people to thought, oh, hey, there's the Ferris. Or as anyone else really knows, Lucy Fair. But no, actually, we'll go a little step further removed. The Lucy Fair. We are a fair family, with an unfair ruling against us. So Lucy Fair was no more, giving way instead to Lucy Sterling. And you found that the Sterling version of yourself was vastly different. Forced to grow up way faster than anyone ever should. But back in the kitchen, back in the modern day, you look across the table at Grandma. She's the only other person in the world who understands how you feel. After all, she was forced to abandon the life she had built for over 70 years to enter the piff with you. Despite this, Grandma still managed to start over and find a way to be happy once again. Without her, you'd have no shot at becoming a hero. Thank you, Gran. We repeat, fighting against the lump forming in our throat. Oh, hush up, Grandma says, wiping at her own cheeks. What are you waiting for? You've got a career to start. We run into our room, where we've made sure not to keep any plants, since you don't need Grandma's best spies hanging around. It is decorated plainly, but what truly makes the room ours is the wall filled with framed posters of our favorite powered heroes. Featured centrally are our parents, in their classic Sound and Fury costumes, right next to your favorite powered hero, Rebellion. She's been our idol ever since we were a kid. We've got plenty of other posters on our hero worship wall, but whose career do we want to emulate most, the team players or the solo heroes? We can choose from Rebellion, leader of the Millennial Group, MC's #1 power team. There's the Everyman Brigade, MC's most prominent work-for-hire team. Static, the Eastern Fringe's current champion. Or Black Magic, MC's latest hero, Heartthrob. Because it won't be obvious in just a single playthrough, I will say right now, Black Magic, as the latest hero, Heartthrob, their gender will always change to fit the preference you choose, just a few short selections ago. If you want to play as a straight man, they will always be a woman. If you want to be a lesbian, they will still be a woman. If you have no preference, I think they default to female. I can't remember, it's been a while since I've played. But I do know they will always be a possible romantic partner. Let's see, we are going to go with the Everyman Brigade. Yes, our parents were the best of the best before. But they were able to get that by being part of a team. Until we work on a team, we can't decide if we're fit for the role of leader. So we might as well Become part of the Everyman Brigade, if possible, most prominent work-for-hire team. The Everyman Brigade does good deeds and rakes in the big bucks at the same time, working for high-profile mega clients and donating time to pro bono cases. Professional heroing is a business, after all, and no one knows that better than the Everyman. Every morning, you stare at the hero wall and envision what your own poster will look like among the famous heroes. Peeling your eyes away, your attention wanders down to the video game you're supposed to be testing. Now that you have your license, you can finally quit that game testing job, since there are dozens of ways for heroes to earn a living. Most of these paid jobs are very difficult to obtain, though. You've heard the horror stories about the endless lines at the Derper to collect powered hero unemployment. Still, you don't think twice about tossing the video game in the trash and reaching for your single most prized possession, your Ferris costume. As you suit up, you pull a mask over your face to protect your identity. Even though no one would ever recognize you as the Sound and the Furious child, now that you're all grown up, you don't need anyone discovering your sterling identity and coming after Grandma. You've been perfecting the right costume for a long time, since it's your calling card as a hero. Knowing this, you've chosen a color scheme that's all tones of black and metal gray for intimidation. Bright and bold primary colors to get noticed. Black and bronze, the colors of Millennium City's flag. Blue and gold, the colors of my favorite hero, Rebellion. Or red and silver, the colors of my parents' Sound and Fury costumes. So here's the thing. I both like and dislike some of how they presented this, because it does affect some of your stats. It gives us some lore about the colors of Millennium City's flag. Not the design, but black and bronze. That's a bold choice for a city, especially metallic. Which brings to mind that there will be no truly static image of the flag to show off the bronze. Metallics require some light reflecting off of it. Not much a fan that you have to choose Rebellion, even if they were marked as one of your favorite heroes alongside your parents. It'd be nice if we could have chosen from the ones we wanted to emulate, but perhaps too much variety. But let's go with... Even though this kind of goes against what it says here, don't need anyone discovering our sterling identity, we're still going to go with red and silver, which happens to be the colors of our parents' Sound and Fury costumes. Every time we put it on, we can't wait to use our powers. We snap our fingers, generating a small pop of energy, which also happens to be our favorite color. And we're going to go with blue, matching the primary color of Lucy the Monk's outfit. We've got the red in our hero suit. And not perfect. The last color being, silver? I mean, that's just the opposite of gold, which we have enough of in the outfit as well. So we got blue energy. And as the pop of the blue energy fades, we look over our costume in the mirror. Knowing that style without substance means very little, we've also chosen design features that amplify our powers. Truth be told, you'd have been able to afford your hero license way sooner if you had spent so much money on your most prized upgrade. We can make it aerodynamic for upping the speed. A rocket backpack, channel excess energy and add propulsion to normal speed flying. Or large metal wristbands that store energy for blasting. We're gonna just be a big old blaster. Pow. This offensive upgrade allows us to create blasts at half the power cost, an invaluable resource while in the field. As we, the Ferris, stand there in our perfect costume with all our intentions set, we realize we're finally ready to start our hero career. But becoming a legendary hero means more to you than just fulfilling your own dreams. It's also about redeeming the fair name. You have one ultimate goal, to become an A-list hero and reveal to Millennia City that you are actually the Sound and the Fury's child. You know that achieving this level of success is the only way to restore honor to your parents and redeem your family's legacy in the hero world. And because it's so important to your end goal, one central question constantly plagues you. In your rise to become a legend, is it more important to focus on achieving fame or upholding justice? Let's see. Did everyone know our name to get to the top? Don't care what they're saying as long as you're talking about me. Having people know who I am is always going to help, but only if my reputation as a hero is worthwhile. I mean, we chose the path of anonymity, doing good more important than getting fame. So I don't think either of these first two. It's vital that I uphold justice first and foremost, but that doesn't mean I can't smile for the press once a mission is accomplished. Or always doing the right thing will make me a hero worthy of legend. I'll get to the top by never compromising my commitment to justice. Which is just asking for someone to push us to the limit of our ideals. It's asking for a villain who will be the Joker to our Batman, trying to make us kill when that is one thing we swear not to. So I'll go the slightly easier one. We'll uphold justice first and foremost, but we'll be kind to the press when given the opportunity. We're having courage to begin our hero rise. Our legend has already increased. Our legend level is the most important meter for gauging our success in the hero world. It's affected not only by the decisions you make, but also by any fluctuations in your public image. Rebellion's legend is the highest on record, an astounding 100. So that's your ultimate goal. Your legend level is tracked on your hero license. We flip it over and see you've got a long way to go, since our current legend is a lowly one. Of course, this plastic version of your license is simply a keepsake. Your official license has already been scanned and uploaded into your knee chip. Congratulations on your license, sweetheart, knee chip Poppy says, appearing in front of you once again. I just know you're going to be the best hero ever. Thanks, Poppy. Then take a moment to check our hero statistics by... Oh yeah, showing us how things have already changed from our options. Our pursuit of fame has decreased in favor of justice. Though we're just a little bit lawless, we did make some decisions that kind of thumbed our nose at the law, but we are going to try to be a bit more lawful. We are also definitely going a more offensive route, and aiming to be a bit of a team player. Our family's 90% Victon, the judge who put away our own parents at 13, being at only 10. And I believe this can go negative. We'll return to the game. The choices we make will have very real consequences, so we must be sure to choose wisely. Poppy. Move the show stats button to my home screen and you all look insane talking to those electronic voices in your heads, Grandma says from the doorway. That's why I simply refuse to have one of those machines implanted in me. Just doesn't seem right. I know how you feel about me, Chips Gran, you say, turning towards her. It's annoying because now that they've done away with landlines and cell phones, there's no way of getting in touch with you, which is precisely how I like it, Grandma says. But look at you, a born fair hero. Well, this born hero had better get out there, we say, shaking off our nerves. This career isn't going to start itself. What happened to my captions? But, one sec. How about now? Captions? Captions. Let's see, what if we do this? Test. What if we do that? I'm concerned my internet is having a hiccup or something. Alright, well, we're going to adjust the screen a bit so it's less covering up. Alright, you you guys won't be able to read the very bottom of it. Oh, captions are back. Okay. We'll leave it there. That should be fine. Let's see, wait, before you go. Camera walks towards you and sees that you see that she holds an envelope in her hands, and your stomach drops. It's such a big A, Grandma says, her eyes on the floor. They'd want to be here so badly. And your jaw goes tight. You know exactly what Grandma wants you to do. While the void may not allow its prisoners to have any visitors, it does permit them to receive letters. So for years you wrote to your parents, telling them everything about your life. You thought that writing those letters would make you feel better, but it only made you feel worse. Because the Devoid doesn't allow its prisoners to write any letters back. It's been years since you've written anything. Grandma looks up at you and your heart feels like it might break. I'm sorry. But you know how I feel about this, Gran? You don't write letters to your parents anymore because I'm angry that my parents had to abandon me. You spent years hoping your parents would somehow find a way back to you, but after all that wasted effort, you finally accept the truth. No one ever escapes a life sentence in the Devoid. Your parents always found a way to beat the odds in the past, but this time they failed you. Alright, Lucy, Grandma says, fighting to keep her face even. Now listen to me. Please be careful out there. Lord knows I won't be able to sleep until you're home. I will, Gran. Promise. Then off you go. Trumping up a smile with a dude trying to kick some butt, yes? Ready to go? You step on your window's 14th story ledge and look out over the grandeur of Millennia City. One of the advantages of living in the Eastern Fringe is just a spectacular view of MC's iconic skyline. Take a deep breath, letting the energy of the city run through you. Standing on this precipice, you can't help but wonder what kind of hero you will become. And will you be able to survive long enough to achieve the legend status you crave? The choice is up to you. You think to yourself, right before you jump off the ledge. What a perfect time for Spirit City to bring in the fucking police sirens. Now we're at Chapter 3, the lowercase. You free fall to the streets below, dropping 10 stories before you tense your muscles and feel your flight powers kick in. Most people think flying feels like floating, but you know, it really feels more like swimming. It takes a lot of muscle control and endurance. Luckily, you've been training for years, the way a runner trains for a marathon, so you can fly today without much trouble. You pull upward, feeling gravity work with you instead of against you. Stretch out your arms and climb up into the sky, the exertion causing a familiar tingling in your abs. You allow yourself one joyride up into a bank of clouds, before swooping back down toward the cover of the skyline. Excuse me. Having your hero license makes flying legal, but you still don't need to start your career with an unregistered flying ticket. So you cruise low against the buildings toward the heart of the city, toward downtown MC. Every time you use your powers, your power level lowers. Different power uses exert different costs. For example, this kind of normal flying only lowers your power by 2. It's important to keep an eye on your power level as you begin to enter battles, but right now we're strong at 98. Our flight from the eastern fringes takes us across the quaint brownstones of Rain Hill and through Valor Park. Pulling in closer to the high-end metal giants that mark downtown, you land on a ledge lined with silver statues of great gods and goddesses. One of the hardest parts of being a rookie hero is finding cases. A fact you're reminded of as a pink-clad heroine bothers some teenagers in a nearby alley, and 3 metal sentries thunder through the sky above you. Even if you are lucky enough to stumble upon a decent case, you'll still have to beat out dozens of other aspiring heroes to accomplish the mission and get the credit. So how are you going to find your very first legitimate hero opportunity? Well, we're going to talk to our PIF agent, Jenny Yu. When your life was turned upside down by your parents' imprisonment, one of the only people you could trust was the PFPP agent assigned to your case, Jenny Yu. Even though Jenny doesn't have powers of her own, she loves powered hero stuff just as much as you do. So when you had no one else to talk to, you and Jenny would spend hours gushing about all your favorite heroes, games, and comics. Of course, Jenny is the first person you want to call to tell about your heroic start, especially since she'll have advice on how to find a good first case. You hold your arm up and press a button on your metal wristband, popping open a panel to reveal your embedded meat chip. You can't imagine what life was like before humans merged with their tablets. Poppy does so much for you. Hell, most days she even feels like your best friend. You also have your meat chip to thank for your powers, since the current accepted powered origin theory said advanced technology paved the way for powered abilities. This theory suggests that once humans integrated with tablet technology, these tablets began to cover many basic functions like memory and navigation, for example. Once adjusted to this technological enhancement, the human body was able to evolve and unlock new potential in the form of powered abilities. Those powers then began to solve pressing global problems, since humans can now do things like generate natural resources, survive in harsher conditions. It seems that the early 21st century technological boom laid the groundwork for the 22nd century powered boom, which has once again caused the world to change in startling and exciting ways. However, despite the meat chip's ceaseless wonders, you currently just need to make a call. Poppy, you say? Call Jenny Yu. Of course, dear. Poppy echoes in your ear. Please ask Jenny how she's doing for me. And Jenny picks up right away, her face appearing holographically in front of you. Since she's such a geek, you tend to forget how pretty Jenny is. She's half Korean, half British, always wears her hair in a tight ponytail, and never applies a bit of makeup, causing her to appear sleek and no-nonsense at all times. You think Jenny is beautiful. Since she also happens to be into girls, there's always sexual tension lingering in your relationship. Right now, Jenny looks a bit surprised to see you, probably because she's never seen your fairest costume before. I assume this means your grandma gave you your license, Jenny says, traces of a British accent I'm not going to bother trying, unpresent, despite the years of living in Millennia City. You mean you knew Grandma had my license and you didn't tell me? Please, your grandma would have murdered me if I had ruined her surprise. Anyway, check your email for your birthday present, Jenny says, looking you over. And just so you know, the costume makes your waist look bloody enormous. That Jenny, such a charmer. Not missing a beat, you shoot back. Well, we all can't be as gorgeous as you, Jenny. Flattery will get you absolutely everywhere, Lucy. Now, I have to run, but I've got another tip for you. A fingertip, if you will, Jenny says, chuckling to herself. Wait, what is that? Before you can finish, Jenny hangs up on you. One of her favorite things to do. Knowing that calling her back would be useless, you ask Meat Chip Poppy to open your email instead. And sure enough, Jenny has sent you quite a fantastic birthday present. A link to a hand-picked heroic case listing. Maybe she's not so intolerable after all. You smile as you start to read, because the case has been sponsored by Rexford Schillers, MC's wealthiest playboy. His family had a major stake in the construction of the Big Sur fusion plant that now powers all of Western America. Turns out, Rexford recently held a charity gala at his townhouse for the Powered Orphan Fund. Naturally, it was the must-attend event of the social season, especially since the theme was a powered masquerade ball. The party was a smashing success, but the next day Rexford woke up to find one of his most prized possessions had been stolen. A party guest managed to get past the considerable security measures and steal a valuable Angelino artifact. The Gravitas, a mysterious rod rumored to have hidden powers. What little is known about the gravitas makes it one of a kind, highly valuable and potentially dangerous. The police are looking into the theft, but Rexford wants the artifact back so badly that he has opened up the case to any powered hero, with a reward of $150,000. You nearly choke. That's a lot of money. With such a large reward at stake, along with the inevitable media coverage surrounding the high-profile case, you know the competition on this one is going to be fierce. You check the page views on the listing, and of course it has already been visited thousands of times. Still, you promised yourself you'd go big or go home. This would certainly qualify as going big. Although the reason you want to take this case is because, well, the gravitas really could hurt a lot of people if it falls into the wrong hands, because we're doing the right thing, not the famous thing. That artifact is a major public hazard, and it's your duty as a hero to keep that threat contained. Unfortunately, the only clue available on this case is a photo of the suspected thief, who is an unnamed +1 guest at the gala. The photo features a man dressed in an expensive suit, wearing a mask themed after Regalia, a very flamboyant hero/rock star. To match his emerald-encrusted mask, the thief's suit is lined with green piping, and his fingertips are painted yellow. Photo isn't a whole lot to go on, so you start to wonder what kind of... But then a thought hits you so hard you almost fall off the ledge. Jenny's a fingertip. She's a genius, you think? Knowing those fingertips may be your one shot at solving this case before anyone else. And of course I remember the color of the thief's fingertips. They were yellow. That's right, his fingertips were yellow. This very important detail that no one else is bound to know the significance behind. MC's government requires the large-scale building properties designate a portion of their budget to powered art spending. Excuse me. Since Grandma has a particularly green thumb, she sometimes cultivates unique flowers commissioned by emerging property owners. One of Grandma's biggest sales was a species of crossbred orchids that sing classic operas. It took Grandma years to achieve this horticultural miracle, but there's one flaw in the design. If you touch one of these orchids, it turns your fingertips a different color, depending on the opera it was trained to sing. Grandma sold these orchids exclusively to one downtown high-rise building. This means that if the thief's fingertips were painted yellow from Grandma's orchids, you know exactly where he lives, since only the penthouse apartment got the yellow Carmen orchids. That's the reason Jenny sent you this case listing. She also knows about the operatic orchid imprinting. She must have seen the thief's fingertips in the case photo and waited on the information, knowing you'd be legally licensed to investigate today, on your birthday. You leap off the roof in the direction of the yellow orchid penthouse, excitement coursing through your veins. This is a very big case. How do we feel about taking it on? Well, case is a bit much for my first night, but I'm going to try to rise to the occasion. Fair. Perfect case for me to start with, potentially. Or the case is way too easy, can't wait to move on to much bigger and badder stuff now. It's a bit much for our first night. I mean, they infiltrated a massive gala by a very rich person. They were prepared. And this is just one oversight they didn't know someone would know the secret of, so we're going to try to rise to the occasion. This is Heroes Rise, after all. A case with this much money and publicity at stake should be handled by someone with more experience, or any experience for that matter. Still, the fingertip lead is one that very few other heroes could follow, so ready or not, we have to follow our instincts. The Orchid apartment is in central downtown, so the flight over will be super short. It's also good this thief can afford a penthouse, because it'll be pretty easy for you to access by flight. First priority is finding the gravitas, but catching the thief would be an added bonus. That's the best way to approach the entry. We're going to hover near the window, see if anyone is home first, then act accordingly. As the ritzy high-rise comes into view, you can already see Grandma's yellow orchids on the balcony. You relax your muscles, slow your pace as you approach the building, which proves difficult as adrenaline pulses through your veins. Drop down along the wall, trying to keep out of sight. A building like this is bound to have anti-powered security measures. Hovering close to the penthouse's window, you peer into the living room to see if anyone is home. Your heart nearly stops when you come face to face with a man standing inside the apartment, inches away from the glass. It's definitely a thief from the case photo, right down to the yellow-stained fingertips. Currently he looks far less regal and far more menacing, with overgrown stubble and long, greasy hair. You freeze, trying to decide what to do. Unfortunately, the thief thinks faster, whipping out a handgun, pointing it directly at you, and we immediately... Let's see, the stats are... We are largely offensive at this point, so we should lean into that. Energy pulse. Panic, close your eyes and let out a low-level energy pulse. You hear the glass wall separating you from the thief shatter, and when you open your eyes, the thief's gun lies on the floor, melted beyond repair. A loud alarm begins to sound, and the thief makes a run for it. Luckily, with the glass window now broken, you're able to fly right after him. So here's one worry. That small energy pulse melted a fucking gun. How is that guy still standing? Or at least not clutching at his hand, because, holy shit. As you pursue the thief, you expect him to run for the front door, which is why you're puzzled when he heads deeper into the lavishly decorated apartment. You race after him into their master bedroom suite, and as you do, your question about his escape plan is suddenly answered. The thief didn't head for the front door because he's got a teleportation unit in his own bedroom. Personal teleportation units were supposed to be the next wave of the transportation future, but the automotive industry piled millions of dollars into research that revealed the potential cancer risks of atomic fission. So the government had to ban the sale of units, putting everyone back into planes, trains, and automobiles. This thief doesn't seem to care about potential carcinogens, however, since he's already inside the unit and programming the machine's teleportation course. Without hesitation, you point your hands to the console and let an energy burst rip into the controls. The thief screams, jumping from the smoking unit. Furious, he looks up at you and snarls, "That was a very big mistake, rookie." You can barely hear him over the alarm blaring in your ears. You know it's only going to be minutes before the police show up, so you've got to act fast. The thief seems to be thinking the same thing as he jumps to his feet and pulls something out of the belt. Let's see, we can do a stun. We're not going to fly. Entry, crackle to disarm. Maybe. Entry shield. Discern nature. No. Lose powerful energy barrage. Who cares if the thief survives the attack? No. We're going to try to disable. Let out a small crackle of energy meant to knock the weapon from the thief's hand, but he just sheathes an oversized red-hot sword that slices through your crack with ease. Looks like he has a high-tech energy disruptor blade. The thief launches at you and takes a swipe with the blade. An attack you narrowly dodge. He's now come near enough that a close-range attack should take him down. And we're gonna go just short-range energy pulse yet again. Pulse of energy, but the thief once again deflects. Oh, right, we should have done no energy. Oh well. This gives the thief the opening he needs. Hits you square in the chest with the butt of the sword, knocking you to the ground. He then plunges the sword down at you, a deadly blow you only manage to dodge at the last second. Howling with rage, you leap to your feet and tackle the thief as fast as you can. Caught off guard, he drops his sword and goes reeling across the room. Just as you have the thief disabled, you hear the wail of police sirens from the streets below. Slugger, you curse, which is really dumb curse, to be honest. It's like, at least throw an actual swear out there. How about fuck, man? Actually, yeah, instead of slugger, I'm going to say fuck, because why not? You curse knowing you're almost out of time. You still aren't sure if the gravitas is even here in the apartment. You consider your options. You could wait for the police, then work with them to locate the gravitas. This would garner some goodwill with the MCPD, but it also might compromise your access to Schiller's reward. Or you can interrogate the thief before the police arrive, try to find the gravitas on your own. Take all the reward and credit for yourself, but if you do this, you'd definitely be pissing off the MCPD. I mean, we're going to work with them because we're trying to be a team player. 15 minutes later, you stand outside the building, watching as the police haul the thief into the back of a detainment van. Next to you stands Officer Sanders, a grizzly veteran with dark, almost black skin that contrasts with his grayish-white hair. He has a long scar where his left eyebrow should be, making his face appear lopsided, considering his right eyebrow is bushy and white. His aged look doesn't seem to go with the technologically upgraded MCPD uniform that's now standard issue, but he still has quite the commanding presence. You've just told Officer Sanders everything about finding the thief. Well, not everything. You said you figured out the fingertip lead with an anonymous tip, since no one needs to know about your connections with Grandma and Jenny, nor that you're not necessarily a brilliant detective just yet. Turns out the thief's a gun for hire named Tracker, Officer Sanders says in a low, gravelly voice. He's got the power to discover the location of any person or object on the planet, so finding and stealing things is his specialty. You just helped us solve about 30 open theft cases. Anything to help, sir? You say you're laying on a bit thick. So, are you sure he's the one who stole the gravitas? Listen, Officer Sanders says, leaning into a whisper. I'm technically not supposed to say anything to you, but you found this guy when no one else could, so we owe you one. If anyone asks, you figured out this next part on your own, got it? Got it. You nod, already thinking this was a good move to work with the police. Tracker says he was hired by Smither to steal a gravitas. Officer Sanders says, his remaining eyebrow crinkling with severity. You freeze because you know exactly who Smither is. And learning that he's involved is not good news. We've already got officers on a route to Smither's headquarters, but my guess is if you leave now, you can get there first. I'll tell my guys you're a friendly face, just don't get in their way. I won't, you say, reaching to shake Officer Sanders' hand. Thank you, sir. You sure you can handle this? I don't need another dead rookie on my conscience. Don't worry. You'll be seeing a whole lot more of me, I promise. The name is Ferris, by the way. Well, good luck, Ferris, Officer Sanders says. Against Smither, you're sure as hell gonna need it. Alright, so let's see what we're at before continuing Chapter 4. Sense of justice is at 68. We're 1% away from being truly nice. Lawful is 67. On the offensive with 52%, and we are being a really good team player at 61. We've only lost a little bit of health, a little bit more power in that regard, but our ledger is at 4. Still no other relationships, though I believe the MCPD eventually becomes one of these. So here we are, Chapter 4, Smither, Vice, and Everything Splice. And we're going to take some big sips. Also take this opportunity to make a little change in activity. Relaxing. Oh wait, that's a little visible. One sec. There we go. Pulling up to the sky, you shudder as you think about Smither. He owns 4 legitimate businesses in the Static Lane section of the Eastern Fringes. But everyone knows those are fronts used to launder money from his prostitution, drug, and illegal firearms operations. Even worse, Smither fancies himself the boss of an elite-powered mob. All of his business generals form an exclusive club called the Splice Circle. Aside from possessing dangerous powered abilities, the Splice Circle generals all indulge in their splicing poison of choice, whether it be animal-human hybridization, hypersteroid usage, or gene-dip cosmetic alteration. Not having time to fiddle with your meat chip for a search while flying, you decide to test the new Thought Command function. The first wave of Thought Command technology has just been released, but it hasn't replaced voice commands entirely yet, since the software is rumored to still be rather buggy. Clearing your mind and focusing on your meat chip, you think, Poppy, search current Splice Circle roster. Within seconds you get a response from meat chip Poppy. Oh no, it appears you need to upgrade your internet package to conduct that search. There used to be a time when the internet was available for one base price, but ever since the government allowed internet providers to bundle packages for speed and website access during the Greater Depression, God, it feels like that's about to start IRL, you've been operating out of the lowest cost bundle. Actually, your entire meat chip is operating at a similarly low level. The potential functions of the meat chip are endless. You have the money to pay for the services. Meat chips can do everything from multiple perspective surveillance to acquisition of downloadable skills, but that all requires high-level processing chips and additional fees. Poor Pop could have had dozens of different outfits and personality dimensions if he had more money for upgrades. Welcome to the 22nd century capitalism, where class status is determined primarily by tablet functionality. And unfortunately for you, it looks like it's time for an internet upgrade, which is going to cost you. Authorize upgrade and execute search. You think trying to focus command through the cloud of frustration in your head. It won't be long before you start charging for air per breath, you think. Immediately, several holographic web images flash before your eyes. One is a chart listing the Splice Circle's current roster. Another is a review of air humidifiers, and last is a list of services for anger management. Understanding why many reviewers have bashed the meat chip thought command function for acting glitchy, you try to focus on the roster listing. The Splice Circle's rumored roster is the Boss Smither. The Security General is Boulder. Actually, we'll do a quick check, because we didn't earn too much money. 1997, what? That was only like $50 or something? Less than that, really? It's not too bad, I guess, because meat chip's connecting everywhere. But next we'll go to the crime generals. One's in charge of prostitution is Lolly. Not a big fan of that name for the villain. Firearms is Casing, known as the underboss. Very fitting. Drugs is Fracture. The notes is Lolly is the Circle's longest-standing general, infamous for the spree of disfiguring attacks that pushed her up through the ranks of her Eastern Fringe, Anna Gang, and into the Circle. Casing remains Smither's most prized general, currently serving as the Splice Circle's underboss. And we're going to be as well prepared as possible with the business generals. We have the Shed Club, led by Madame Vice, with unknown status. The Rival Bar, I think is how that's supposed to be pronounced, led by Kirkpatrick, a counselor. A Fetish Sin Den, Rwanda W, and Ace's High Casino, the third degree. Kirkpatrick is the latest addition to the Circle, brought in to run Smither's newest establishment, the Rival Bar. Kirkpatrick also serves as Smither's replacement counselor, after the remains of Smither's last counselor were found split between Westport and Fowler Park. Madam Vice and Smither have recently ended their multi-year affair on a sour note, causing many to wonder how long Vice will hold her position within the Circle. The question is, if all this info is so easily researched, why the fuck hasn't a big hero team gone after them? Let's be honest. Satisfied with your knowledge of the Splice Circle, you prepare to take off towards Static Lane, until you notice a bright flash coming from one of the surrounding rooftops. Focusing on the source, you see it's a reporter, obviously working overtime to break the first scoop on the story. You really need to find Smither quickly. Besides, you promised yourself you'd focus on upholding justice first and foremost, so you don't have time for something as trite as an interview. So no, fulfilling my duty as a hero is way more important than talking to the press. You fly into the sky, knowing you don't have a single second to waste. But as you pull up into a bank of clouds, your meat chip sends you a web alert. Sorry to be a bother, dear, Poppy says, but it appears your hero press alert has picked something up. You forgot you had even set the press alert, but it's a good thing you did. Whether you want the attention or not, you should be aware of what's being said about you in the press, though I didn't think it'd start happening quite this quickly. The alert takes you to Hero Press Blog, where you find a photo of yourself, taken literally seconds ago, flying away from Tracker's penthouse. The caption reads, "Unknown newcomer cracks first lead in Gravitas case. More to come." Photo capture by Sonia Chawla. Even though getting press isn't your priority, it's not the worst thing in the world for people to start recognizing you. Despite yourself, you tell Poppy to archive the article. It's the first official press-related alleged boost to your career, after all. There we go. As well as achieving one of the highest possible legend levels at this point, 9, our health level has been restored and raised to 110. We're doing pretty good. Take off high across the sky at top speed, knowing you need to get to Static Lane before the police do, or before another hero encroaching on your case does. As you fly, you consider how any powered hero stupid enough to take on the Splice Circle in the past have always ended up dead. The only notable exception has been Static, the self-proclaimed champion of the Eastern Fringes, named after the Fringe's most crime-clogged neighborhood, Static Lane. While most heroes concentrate on more glamorous and less dangerous heroing outside the Fringes, Static has done good work cleaning up some of the Splice Circle's mess. However, no one has seen Static and Monks, a troubling mystery that has gone unsolved. Worst of all, Smither and the Splice Circle are responsible for funding the rival anti-gang activity in the Fringes, using the gangs as a recruitment base to pipeline employees into the various branches of the organization. The anti-gangs are constantly vying for top billing with the Circle, and a gang war has been brewing for months, as evidenced by the fight you broke up earlier today. Without a doubt, Smither is responsible for making life in the Eastern Fringes highly hazardous. Knowing that he is involved with the Gravitas theft hits close to home, but you want to take on this case mostly because, let's see, it'll serve as a blow to the Splice Circle's criminal practices. The hero will make me famous. It's going to be fun. No. It will serve as a blow to the Splice Circle's criminal practices and further disorganized anti-gang activity in the Fringes. Smither has remained untouchable thanks to a team of high-priced lawyers and some corrupt contacts within the MC government. So catching him with the Gravitas could be a rare, illegal thread capable of unraveling the entire Splice Circle organization. Doing so would definitely improve life in your hometown quite a bit. You can't think of a more worthwhile heroic pursuit. However, as you begin to breathe a bit heavier from the exertion of flying so fast, you think about how advanced this case could prove to be. Smither is no joke. He and his crew will kill you in 1,000 different ways without hesitation. Perhaps this might be a bit more you can handle on your first night out. Then you remind yourself you were born for major league cases like this. Moving forward, no matter how successful you become, this kind of fear and doubt are going to be part of your career at every level. In fact, the pressure to stay afloat is only going to get worse, so you better learn to cope with it now. After a super fast flight to the Fringes, you land on a roof across the street from Smither's club shed. Your favorite hero tip-off blog, Just the Tip, says it's rumored that Smither has a secret base of operations hidden somewhere in the shed, since he was once romantically linked to Madame Vice, the shed's current owner. Madame Vice has the power to seduce people into doing her bidding, and you've also read that, ever since being unceremoniously dumped by Smither, she might have aspirations to take over his head honcho role. Well, this is a tidbit you may be able to use to your advantage if things get nasty inside. Right now you need to discover the location of Smither's hidden headquarters within Shed. What's the fastest way to do so? Let's see. We've unfortunately got a bit too much on the defensive, but do we stick with that? Breaking and entering would definitely not be a lawful thing in this situation. We've gotten one tip from one trustworthy officer, but still just a tip. We're gonna lean back into going offensive. Wait. It might be dumb, but we'll go with it. You float down the street and walk up to the front door, which is blocked by two very large bouncers. With massive horns protruding from their foreheads, you gather that both part gene-spliced rhinoceros. Not really dudes you have time to mess with. Before they can say a word, we blow them away with another powerful energy blast. Guards go flying in opposite directions, immediately knocked out. The coast now clear, at least for the moment. Walk directly into the shed. What did that get us? Back to the 50-50. That's good for now. Segment side, we have to stop. It's very dark, so all you can make out at first are iridescent glows coming from all around. But when your eyes do adjust, you realize those glows are actually figures dancing. Each one's skin glows in a different neon bright color as they move across various stages. Take a second to stare at the mesmerizing colors, but pull yourself away. That's not what you're here for. Fire off a shower of blue energy sparks into the air. Dancers start to scream. Some of the clients reach for weapons, but you see that the bartender is the first to start running. You fly quickly to his side and wrap your arm around his neck from behind. "Now, would someone like to tell me where?" you start to say, until you spot a deep red light coming from somewhere in the back of the place. As you look at it, suddenly one step follows another. Fuzz. Feels nice. Moving back, back, back. There stands Madame Weiss. So pretty, you think. So pretty with the blood-red eyes. "Tell me, rude thing," she says, her voice oozing, "what on earth brings you to my dark corner of the world?" You want to tell her everything. Her with her flowing auburn hair, wrapped in that tight red leather. Her body possibly curved with plastic enhancement. Her perfect chest spilling out of that corset. Her full lips wet. You want her to trust you more than anything. You want to touch, you want to tell. She's so pretty. Just tell. "I'm here to," but as words leave your lips, one thought breaks through the rest. Madame Weiss has hypno-subduction powers, which must be why you can't seem to think straight. Though it might also be because we're a lesbian. Haha, fun. As you feel the slightest bit of control creep back, you decide you better not waste the opportunity. Attack her while I have the chance. With all your willpower, you raise your hand to blast Madame Weiss point blank. Fire off a shot and the guilt threatens to overwhelm you. As Madame Weiss dodges your blast and breaks her concentration, you immediately feel your senses return to normal. Before you can totally regain your bearings, Madame Weiss pulls out a long whip and lashes you with it. It must be charged with some kind of electric current because a shock sends you reeling across the room. You hit the ground, hard. Making sure to keep your eyes closed since you don't need Madame Weiss hypno-seducing you again. You let out a quick energy pulse, hoping that will do the trick. When you open your eyes, you see Madame Weiss sprawled across the floor, unconscious. You experience an intense rush of sadness, but push the emotions from your brain, knowing it's just the after effects of Madame Weiss's powers. You stand and walk over to her, seeing that there's something attached to the end of the whip. Curious, you reach down and grab it. You examine the gold tip of the whip and can't believe your eyes. The gold mechanism is a telelock, a wildly expensive and wildly illegal security measure that grants teleportation entrance into doorless rooms. The only way into Smither's secret headquarters must be through one of those telelocks, which you imagine only his splice generals carry. Since telelocks take the form of tokens unique to each owner and only respond to their brainwaves, it's useless to you without Madame Weiss. Though there is one trick you might try. But before you can give it a shot, you feel a tap on your shoulder. You raise your fist and spin around, freeze the moment you do. You instantly recognize the face smirking back at you. It belongs to Jury, another aspiring hero. He stands with his arms crossed, the wind from the open door flaring his black and white costume, which was made to look like a sleeker version of Judge's robes. Which makes total sense because Jury's real name is Aaron Victon. He's the son of Judge Victon, who is now better known as the long-standing mayor of Millennia City, and the man who sentenced your parents to their lifelong prison exile. Jury has the power to see through the eyes of any 12 nearby people at once, hence the code name. He's become a C-list hero, thanks mostly to his father's position. Anything Jury has gotten, he's bullied or bribed out of people thanks to his last name, or charmed them with his good looks and social status. If you'd had the advantages Jury had, you'd already be MC's #1 hero and you know it. You really are inclined to hate Jury for just about every reason under the sun, but you have to be careful not to give away your real identity. The last thing you want is for the Victon family to know the connection between your Ferris, Sterling, and Fair identities. "Well, you're new, aren't you?" Jury says, looking you over from head to toe like a piece of meat. "And what's your name, darling?" Your skin crawls under Jury's gaze, and you force yourself not to consider what's running through his mind. Jury is conventionally attractive blonde guy, so you're sure he does quite well for himself, and obviously Jerry likes what he sees. But you're definitely not the guys, and even if you were, you wouldn't touch Jerry with a 10-foot pole. Still, he doesn't necessarily have to know that yet. How do we want to play this? We're just gonna say he doesn't deserve to occupy even 1 second of my time. I've got to go. You practically growl, walking towards the exit. Yeah, about that, Jerry says. You're cute and all, but you don't know how things work yet. I just got a call from Rexford Chillers himself. The police told him they have a lead on his missing gravitas. He's a dear friend of my father's. You do know who Mayor Ficton is, don't you? Jerry gets closer to you, way closer than you'd like. His breath smells like stale beer, and you're pretty sure you make out the beginnings of a cold sore on his lower lip. Tell you what you know now, and I'll see it as a serious favor. I'm the kind of guy you want to owe you, if you get my drift. Jerry puts his hand on your hip, and you pull away, trying desperately to keep your cool. And if I don't, you ask through clenched teeth. Jerry's slick smile fades. Let's just say that having the mayor of Millennium City as an enemy isn't a really great thing for any aspiring hero, is it? There's no way in hell you're backing down from this case, no matter what Jerry threatens you with. Still, you do need to find a way to get him off your tail. He could cause some serious trouble for you if he gets to the gravitas first. How do you want to deal with him? Well, to paraphrase Magneto beating the shit out of Red Skull, no powers, just fists. Launch your fist directly at Jerry's face and feel his perfect nose crunch under your knuckles. As Jerry hits the ground, you shake out your hand. That hurt like hell. Jerry will definitely want to pay you back for this, but as you look at him lying helplessly on the floor, no, it was totally worth it. Won't be long before Jerry wakes up, so you turn your attention back to the telelock and you're one shot at accessing it. Sometimes, if you channel your energy power through electronics in just the right amount, it can jumpstart their functions. However, too much power fries electronics, a talent that comes in handy for some situations, but not this one. Figure it's worth a shot, you grasp the golden tip at the end of the whip and close your eyes. You allow a small wisp of energy to flow from your fingertips through the telelock, hoping this will coax it into cooperating. Then out of nowhere you feel a massive surge build in your bones. No, you shout out loud, unable to stop a wave of blue energy from bursting through your hands. When the light from your blast clears, you can see the charred remains of the whip in your hand, and the gold telelock is completely shorted out. Despite years of training, your powers can sometimes act unpredictably. Though this was a rather inopportune time for a surge to flare up. What are you going to do now? But before you can even finish forming that thought, you feel your insides turn fluid. The room swirls around you and you stagger backward. And then you scream. Chapter 5. Prodigies. Another good opportunity for a big ol' sin. We are roughly halfway through the stream. Another hour and 20 minutes to go. We're definitely not reaching the end, but we should reach the big climax. That is the final downhill rush. When things snap back into focus, you find that you're in the foyer of a sleek loft. You clap your hand over your mouth and slide against the nearest wall, hoping no one has heard you. The telelock must have activated somehow, despite the energy overload. Perhaps it was because Madame Vice shockwhipped you with the lock? Or perhaps, how stupid are you? You hear a deep voice say, interrupting your thoughts. You peek your head around the wall of the foyer and see none other than Smithers sitting on a large metal throne, staring at something across the room. He wears tight black clothes, his bulging muscles covered in veins and bluish scars, the byproduct of gene splicing ultra-steroids. His face is equally scarred, scattered with stab and gunshot wounds. The effect makes him look considerably less than human. You can't help it. The sight of Smithers sends a chill up your spine. You try to ignore this as you spot the large silver staff in Smithers' hands. covered in gemstones the size of baseballs. That must be it. That's the gravitas. You almost squeal because you've done it. You found the damn thing. You start to scroll through the ways you're going to spend that reward money, knowing that all you need to do now is get your hands on the gravitas. That is, till your eyes settle on the 10 armed guards flanking Smither. Next to them stand 3 menacing figures you recognize as Smither's splice generals. One of them's 10 feet tall and made of stone. That'd be the Security General Boulder. Another has elongated plastic fingers ignited by flames. That'd be the owner of Ace's High Casino, 3rd degree. The last has sharp knives growing out of every joint in her body, leaving Fracture the drug queen. You swallow hard, a knot of fear balling up in your stomach. You would probably have a hard time taking on just one of these criminals, let alone all of them combined. Suddenly, the gravitas seems like an afterthought. How are you even going to get out of here alive? With that in mind, you begin to consider your power levels. If you're going to survive this battle, you'd better make sure you're probably equipped to do so. Luckily, your energy power allows you to recharge your levels. You can recharge your power, but it drains a proportionate amount of health. Likewise, you can heal yourself, but it drains your power. Current power level is 51, and your health level 105. You're feeling strong, but that could just be all the adrenaline coursing through you. You know that if either of your levels drop to 0, you'll die instantly. So, do you think you need to recharge your power before things start to get intense here? Yeah, we'll top off just a little bit. Let's see. We're more or less full health. So long as we stick with mostly offensive stuff, because we do have a perk where our offensive options are cheaper, I think we can get by with just 20, which leaves us more health in case we do some fuck-ups. Gritting your teeth, you begin to siphon health energy from your body, a process that feels a lot like pulling every hair from your skin at the same time. Thankfully, it only takes a second, and once it's done, your power level is 71 and your health level is 85. Ready to act, you tense all your muscles, hoping you have enough power and health to survive the night. And that's when you realize Smither and his mob all have their weapons locked on something across the room. A young woman. She wears a bodysuit made of black Kevlar with one thick red stripe running up the center. Where the bodysuit ends, the red stripe continues to cover her face, showing only her deep burgundy lips, crystal blue eyes, and a long, dark hair. She looks statuesque, like one of those genetically enhanced Victoria's Secret angels. So it's a play on Charlie's Angels and Victoria's Secret. Got it. Slugger, fuck, you think. Another hero has beat you to the punch. She must be even more insane than you are since she stands unarmed, staring down the splice circle. You went to great lengths to find my base of operations, Smither says, gesturing towards a large hole in the floor next to Kevlar Girl, a sight that causes you to lose your breath. You realize you have no idea how far the telelock has taken you or how to get back outside. You step out of it as Smither continues, "What are you here for?" You look back at the Kevlar Girl, remembering that Smither has the power to elicit a truthful response from anyone he asks a direct question, a very handy gift for a powered mob boss. That must be why they haven't killed Kevlar Girl yet. Smither wants to know how and why she's here first. "I'm here," she says softly, barely audible, "to kill you." Suddenly, Kevlar Girl produces 2 massive cannon guns and fires thick surges of laser energy into the heart of the circle. Within seconds, 4 guards and 3rd degree are crisped to ash right before your eyes. Your stomach turns as you realize it smells like a summer barbecue. A deafening roar erupts as the guards return fire. Fracture whips dozens of razor-sharp blades at Kevlar Girl while Boulder moves to protect Smither from the fray. Smither shouts something at Boulder while waving the gravitas, but you can't make out the words over the gunshots. You quickly generate a protective energy shield, terrifying and catching the brunt of a stray attack. Looking through the bluish energy barrier, your eyes snap back to Kevlar Girl as she leaps into the air, does a series of flips, her movements creating a visible trail that blocks the barrage of bullets and knives. She must be able to generate some kind of flash shield with her movements. Kevlar Girl then lands and sends off another round of cannon pulses. You look back to Smither's corner and see that last blast took out another half the guards with a large, nasty burn on Boulder's back. You could hardly believe your eyes. This woman just killed close to a dozen people in a matter of seconds. An intense rush of dread overtakes you. This is a bloodbath. You didn't sign up for this. You don't want to die today. But just as soon as those thoughts appear, you force them from your brain. You've been training for this your entire life. So what are you going to do? So it needs to be one of action. I don't think we should have to worry about stopping the killing too much. I think main concern is gravitas, make grab for it and go. This is too passive. And even if we do this for the teamwork, it's still passive. So yeah, my only concern here is no, my only concern here is the gravitas. I make a great grab for it and go. You're a hero, but without a reputation and some money saved, you can't really do anything. The truth is, you need the gravitas to launch your career. So without a second thought, you shoot forward and are moving at top speed right towards Smither. Before he can see you coming, you crash into him and grab the gravitas right out of his hands. Keenly aware of the bullets and blasts ricocheting all around you, you canvass the room and spot a window in the far corner. You have no idea where the window will lead. You're just thankful the room has an exit at all. Before you can move, you see that the crazy Kevlar girl has dropped her cannons and holds something new in her hands. A grenade. Though this looks unlike any grenade you've ever seen before, it's intricately coiled with tech and its core glows cool blue. You dash toward the window, but Kevlar Girl reaches it first, smashing her way outside, and leaving the grenade behind as a parting gift. You struggle to get out, but the gravitas blocks your path. Frantic, you drop it, push your way outside, just as an intense flash of blue heat erupts from the headquarters, followed by a massive explosion that sends flames and debris flying in every direction. You manage to pull above the blast, but not high enough. You scream as you feel the force of the explosion catch you in the black and send you reeling. It takes several seconds for your head to stop ringing and your vision to clear. When they do, you find yourself in the street below. The blast sent you a couple blocks down, significantly lowering your health. That grenade was some seriously advanced technology. Where on earth did Kevlar Girl get her hands on something like that? You look up at Shed and see people flooding out of the front door as the top half of the building rages with flames. Could it really be that Kevlar Girl has done the impossible? Did she take out Smither in half the splice circle in one attack? Through the raging fire, you manage to make out Kevlar Girl's shadow leaping onto a rooftop, holding the gravitas. She must have gone back in after the blast and sifted through the wreckage to cover it, no doubt protected by her shield's movements. You don't know whether to be horrified or impressed. This girl has some serious moxie. Still, you're not about to let her escape, not after she murdered all those people, especially not with the one thing that's going to launch your career. You fly after Kevlar Girl, but as you reach the roof, you find that she isn't fleeing. She's pointing the gravitas directly at you. Before you can react, you feel the air around you twist with a sucking noise and feel yourself being pulled downward. You try to fight it, but you can't stop yourself from crashing to the roof. It's like someone suddenly turned your powers off and a giant, invisible hand is crushing you down. Then it clicks. The gravitas must control gravity. No wonder Smither wanted to get his hands on it. An object that powerful will be useful to anyone, let alone a mob boss with a strictly defensive power set. Feels nice, huh? You hear Kevlar Girl say from above you. But you don't have the patience for snappy banter. You know this girl won't hesitate to kill you. So what are you going to do? Well, you just use an energy surge to disarm. And gravity may affect your flight power, but it won't affect your energy. Let off a quick surge in Kevlar Girl's direction, unable to turn your head to see if you've hit her. But as you feel the weight pushing down on you double, you realize that you must have missed. Nice try, Ferris. But you'll have to do better than that. groan under the weight of the gravitas push, knowing Kevlar Girl is about to kill you, just like all those Splice Circle members. As your ribs start to creak under pressure, you hear police sirens blaring from the street below. You've never been so happy to hear that sound. Suddenly, you feel the weight lifted off your shoulders and you spring to your feet, just in time to see Kevlar Girl strapping a layer of plastic explosives to the gravitas. Wait, stop! What are you... You start moving forward. Kevlar Girl just pulls away from you and holds the gravitas out in front of her body. The name is Prodigal Chicken, and you'll be seeing me again. Without another word, the girl named Prodigal drops the gravitas. Horrified, you watch as the gravitas explodes at Prodigal's feet. A plume of silver smoke erupts into the sky as shards of shattered gemstones go flying in every direction. You step back, covering your eyes to protect them from the explosion. And when the smoke finally clears, you find that Prodigal has vanished. Only the gravitas remains in charred pieces, destroyed beyond repair. No. Why would she destroy the gravitas? Now it's of no use to anyone. It doesn't make any sense. Then another thought hits you. Before she left, Prodigal called you Ferris. She knows your code name, but how? You've only been on the hero scene for a few hours. How would she know? You hear the sound of police choppers swooping overhead, so you don't have much time to ponder the question. We're going to try to find your contact from the tracker arrest, Officer Sanders. Alright. Here's what you're going to do, Officer Sanders says quickly. When police arrived, you ducked out of sight. Not trusting anyone else to believe your story, you waited to see if Officer Sanders would show. Once he did, you managed to pull him into a back alley unseen with the help of some mega-fast flying. You've just finished explaining everything that happened, and Officer Sanders does not look happy. I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to get the hell out of here, right now. What? Don't you need to take my statement, or I believe your story, Ferris. With a case this big ruined, not to mention over a dozen murders involving the Splice Circle committed, no one else is going to care. They're just going to want a scapegoat, and that will be you. But it was Prodigal. She's the one who... Don't be stupid. You're going to get blamed for all of this, one way or another. I'll try to vouch for you, but the best thing I can do for you is pretend I never saw you here. As much as you don't want to believe what Officer Sanders is saying, you know he's right. The whole debacle is going to make the MCPD look really bad. It'll lessen the blow if they have a rookie hero to pin it all on. Which brings one major question to mind. Why are you doing this for me? Arresting me would only be a good thing for you. Officer Sanders stares you down, probably wondering the same thing himself. He just shakes his head and walks out the alley. Let's just say I have a soft spot for emerging heroes. Now disappear, lie low for a while. I think things are about to get very rough for you. You fly toward home, your mind racing with questions. What will happen to your reputation now that the gravitas is destroyed? Will the police blame everything on you? Will you become a fugitive? Then your thoughts spin completely out of control. Will Jury and Madame Vice be gunning for you after what you did to them? Even worse, will the remnants of the Splice Circle be out for revenge? And who is this mysterious Prodigal, the girl who sabotaged your first mission? Why didn't she kill you when she had the chance? You're too exhausted to even begin to contemplate the answers to those questions. You'll push your powers to the limit and have taken more than a few hits tonight. But all you can think about right now is getting home to your bed, knowing that Grandma will help you sort it all out in the morning. It isn't long before you see your bedroom window waiting for you, invitingly. Thinking you might collapse before you can reach it, you give one final push to land inside. All you want to do is get in bed immediately, but you need to let Grandma know you're alright. Your muscles aching, you move slowly towards the door. Gran, it's me. I'm alright, but I'm, well, look who it is. You hear a familiar voice say, stopping you in your tracks. Sitting in your living room is none other than Mayor Victon. And he does not look pleased. Alright, before continuing that, let's see where we are left. Our lawfulness has gone up. Our pursuit of justice has gone down a little bit. But we're back to 52 offensive power and remained a team player. Ficton has slowly gone down, only by 1%. Which, understandable. We decked his son. Your heart begins to pound and you clench your fists. It's just about all you can do not to pummel Mayor Ficton on sight. The only thing holding you back is seeing Grandma sitting in the living room behind him. What are you doing here? You say, willing yourself to stop shaking. Now, there's no need to be rude. After all, your grandmother was kind enough to invite me inside. You send Grandma a look and she returns it with a calm nod. Not now, Lucy, you imagine her saying. I received an urgent call from my son, claiming that some rogue rookie attacked him and sabotaged his latest case. I had my office discover which so-called hero this was, and a quick background search gave us your address. And I had some of my more colorful staff pay you a visit. Your eyes flash back to Grandma, but she nods once again, indicating she's all right. If the scum had hurt her, you don't even want to think about what you do. It's terrifying that your private information is out there too. Sure, you have a secret identity, but since all heroes have to register with the government, there's a secure database with all the licensed heroes' information in it. A database that Mayor Ficton clearly has access to, one way or another. Imagine my surprise when they found an old woman living here instead of some young buck hero. And then my absolute delight to learn that I had walked right into the new life of my dear old friends, the Fairs, Ficton nearly coos. I'd heard you'd both been enrolled in the PIF, but I rather frustratingly hadn't been informed of your whereabouts. Mayor Ficton pauses, hitting you with the warmest politician smile he can muster. He's got the same Kennedy-esque good looks of his son, but you can slightly see his replugged hairline and concealer-covered cheeks. It is rather gratifying to have finally found you, after all these years. And even more gratifying to know exactly where you live. Do keep that in mind the next time you happen to come across my son. Yeah, I think we give in to it. We started blasting. You don't say a word, simply raising your hands towards Mayor Ficton. This man took your parents away from you, and now he has the audacity to threaten you in your own home? Not tonight. Especially because, for all of Mayor Ficton's posturing, he has his eye on a bid for the upcoming presidential election. He's beloved by the people of Millennia City for regulating powered activity and making the city a safer place to live. Taking down your murderous parents was spun as a positive, but coming after your innocent, shattered family won't play well with the public, especially not with the PFPP backing you up. So Mayor Ficton won't want to make any waves here, at least not today. The Mayor Ficton eyes you, seemingly pleased by your aggression. Of course, I have a full security detail positioned outside your door, in addition to the considerable defenses afforded by my me chip, so I'd caution against any rash decisions. Mayor Ficton smiles at you, a smile that sends ice through your veins. You're about to respond when suddenly Mayor Ficton shouts in pain and jumps sideways. You're quite delighted to see one of Grandma's Venus flytraps has had its way with Mayor Ficton's thigh. Oh, I'm terribly sorry about that. Delilah sometimes has a mind of her own. Now, if you'll excuse me, I do think it's time you were leaving. That is, unless you have something constructive to add to this conversation. Mayor Ficton looks from Grandma to you, the smile draining from his face. I just wanted to drop by to let you know you always have a friend in me, Mayor Ficton says as he walks towards the door. Feel free to call me anytime, too. Now that I know where you two live, do remember that I can call you anytime I'd like to. On that discomforting notion, Mayor Victon exits your apartment. Bastard, Grandma says, petting to Milo. She looks as if she wants to say more, but stops when she gets a closer look at you. Oh my word, you look dreadful, Lucy. Are you all right? No, tonight has been so intense. A few short hours ago, it was the best birthday of your life, but now you try your hardest to block out the failures, to forget that your costume is still covered in bits of human ash. You thought being a hero would be glamorous and exciting, but tonight was just... You could barely save your own life, let alone anyone else's. As the adrenaline finally drains in your body, one thought pounds in your brain, pushing out everything else. You wish your parents were here. It isn't long before you're on the floor, the room blotching into darkness. The last thing you make out is Grandma kneeling beside you, looking more worried than you've ever seen her. Rookie hero Ferris ruins everything. Millennial Orbit article contributed by Sanjay Chawla. It's been weeks since this article came out, but it still stings every time you read it. At this point, you can only bear to skim the clipping. Not only does the news blog chew you out for destroying Gravitas, there's also a quote from Rexford Chillers damning you for costing him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Of course, there's a quote from Jury 2 saying you sabotaged what otherwise would have been a successful mission for him. Luckily, Officer Sanders manages to do some damage control, citing you as the hero who helped the police locate Tracker. He also contributed your prodigious story to the investigation and managed to clear your name of criminal charges, but most still think you're responsible for the Splice Circle murders. So while you may not be a fugitive, thanks to Officer Sanders, the MCPD still hates you. In fact, the only reason the police haven't knocked down your door is... Jenny, my blessed PFPP agent, had the wherewithal to hack into the government database and alter my personal information after my Victonian visit. You owe Jenny big time for that one, though you haven't exactly expressed your gratitude yet, since you missed several of her calls as you took time to recover. Last and certainly not least, Mayor Victon's office commented in the article saying that it's amateur hour screw-ups like this one that Mayor Victon's hoping to further regulate during the rest of his term. While this Orbit article probably helped to make Sonia Chawla's career, it appears that she has done irreparable damage to yours. Even though she gave you a boost with that first piece on Tracker, she has thoroughly trashed your name with this second article, a fact you won't forget anytime soon. The people of Millennia City now think of you not just as a hack, but as an actual danger to society. If you thought getting a good hero gig was hard before, it just got doubly so. And your legend level seems decimated before it has even had a chance to rise, down to a measly 5 according to your heroic license. You check the official Hero Legend Meter website that tracks your legend level credit score, but you know it's bound to be depressing. The only positive news is that, good or bad, famous or infamous, you've placed yourself on the map in a big way. Getting people's attention is the first step to becoming a hero, even if it's only negative attention. Now that all of Millennia City is watching, it's up to you to decide what they see next. With that thought in mind, you took some time to rest and recover from that first traumatizing night. More importantly, you took time to reflect upon your actions. Considering all that happened with Gravitas' case, how do you really feel about your first heroic night? Well, I put Tracker behind bars, saved as many lives as I could, and took a dangerous weapon off the streets. Despite what the press said, I did my duty as a hero to the best of my ability. Or, my reputation is ruined. People think I'm useless at best and a criminal at worst. It's going to be impossible now to launch a successful heroic career. Or finally, I didn't save enough lives or complete my mission. As a hero, I completely failed. No, fuck that. Hopeful. We did get Tracker arrested. We saved many lives. Dangerous weapon in the form of Gravitas, no longer applicable. We did the best to our ability. Sometimes, remaining positive and having a good attitude is all that matters. You still believe in yourself. That's a trait worthy of legend, represented by us being at a 6 instead of a 5. Using your powers in a real-life heroing situation was quite a rush, but it proved to be equally terrifying. Even though you managed to survive the night, your power and health levels could have dropped dangerously low. After a week's rest, you fully healed and repowered, but how do you feel about your fighting decisions? I was too timid. I could have benefited from fighting a bit more offensively at times. You certainly learned that your feelings regarding the law really matter, especially since these feelings have significantly affected your relationship with the MCPD. Even though Officer Sanders wasn't able to clear my name fully, things worked out way better with him than they would have been without him. In fact, he's still not here. Damn. Guess not until we finish this little review bit. Officer Sanders will definitely be a useful contact as you try to salvage your career. Finally, for only one night on the job, you amassed an impressive array of enemies. Who is our biggest threat? Well, that would be Mayor Victon, as he is a government official, power, and apparently the influence to look at government records he really shouldn't be fucking allowed to, such as the private address of registered heroes. Mayor Victon has more power and influence than everyone else on this list combined. He can make your life hell if he wants to, and after what he did to your parents, there's no way he won't think of you as a potential threat to his political aspirations. No matter how you feel about your first case as a hero, you realize that this is going to be way harder than you expected. You're going to have to be stronger, smarter, and faster if you have any hope of surviving the deadly enemies you face and of finding the success you so desperately crave. But what if this is all a crazy pipe dream? What if you're not good enough? What if the odds just never work in your favor? Your dreams could simply not come true and no one would know except for you. You quickly shake these doubts off, however. No one ever said this was going to be easy. Alright. For this bonus for maintaining one of the highest possible legend levels, we can choose another costume upgrade. We don't want to go defensive. That's for movement. We don't have anything related to how our power is, so why don't we go for this? It's not too expensive. A rocket backpack, channel excess energy, and add propulsion to flying. Allows flight normal speeds without lowering power level whatsoever, which is nice. Ready to get back to work? You pull on your Ferris costume. You know Grandma will kill you if you don't say goodbye before leaving, so you walk into the living room, where you find her wrestling with a rather large palm frond. Grandma has lost several of the tools from her gardening belt, and her hair has come undone, matted down her face with beads of sweat. Fine, Grandma says, wiping her brow. Tropez here is just having a bit of a hard time adjusting, but he'll feel right at home in no time. By the way, that video game woman called again. She sounded rather angry. In your haste to start your heroic career, you quit the video game testing job without telling the company, or returning your advance deposit. Perhaps not the smartest move, especially now that you have no idea how you're going to start making money as a hero. Unfortunately, your bank account also took another hit this morning after you paid $800 for rent. Grandma's pension doesn't cover all the bills. Anyway, are you going to go see Jenny? Grandma asks, returning to her battle with Tropez. Grandma thinks with all this fresh, heroic hell on your plate, it'd be smart to strategize with your PIF agent Jenny. She has access to government information, claims to have a lead, you could help you sort out the mess with the Gravitas case. But you probably bit off too much too fast to take on the Supply Circle, so you gotta set your sights on a smaller scale mission for tonight. Oh, Lucy, have you made a decision yet about the Sidekick Mentoring Project? Despite your heroic false start, Grandma's still been insisting that you take on a Sidekick mentee. She's always been involved in mentoring powered youth. You even had your own hero mentor back when you were younger. The most exciting thing he asked you to do was pick up his dry cleaning. You'd never tell Grandma, but you didn't have much faith in the program. Besides, you can't imagine why any young, powered person would want to work with an amateur like you. You've been rather reluctant to choose all week, but at this point you're just tired of Grandma's constant and helpful reminders. Alright, alright. You say, pulling up the applicant files on your Me chip. As they scroll in front of her face, you decide to go with, let's see. We've got Sparrow, 16-year-old orphan from the Eastern Fringes, who's the appearance and abilities of a typical bird. Coming from a neighborhood like the Fringes, she won't have many heroic opportunities within her reach, a fact you know all too well. There's Pressy, a 14-year-old, 4-foot-tall, gnomish-looking boy. He believes his power to manipulate the earth comes solely from his magical peg leg. His only dream is to become a hero, but given his rather cutesy appearance, that seems highly unlikely. Or Tarana Rain, a 15-year-old girl who has the power to generate and manipulate water. She goes to a ritzy Rhine Hill-powered private school and comes from a wealthy family, one that owns the Millennial Orbit, MC's best-selling news blog. Let's see. Another flyer would be good. Generate, manipulate water, but also connected to a news blog. Let's see. Oh, wonderful. Seribot detected some spam from someone known as Philo Kuro. That's very handy. Okay, let's see. We don't have much legend. And water manipulation could be an assist in the form of offensive capabilities. Which is what this feels like it is. It's pretty much someone with flight and speed, someone going defensive, which leaves offensive in Tarana Rain. But also connection to a news blog, so we'll go with her. Tarana Rain sounds like she might be a real pain, and you can't fathom why she's applying to this program, but you do like the idea of having a connection to the orbit. Impressing her parents might come in very handy, given their considerable influence within the media world. Hey, if you're going to do this mentor or sidekick thing, why not get something out of it for yourself, too? What a great choice, sweetheart, Midget Poppy says, appearing today in one of her standard issue outfits, a loose-fitting house dress. I do hope Tarana Rain turns out to be the best sidekick ever. Let's hope, Poppy. You think? Figuring it's best to practice the thought command function as much as possible. I'm gonna go with Tarana Rain, you tell Grandma. I had a feeling you might, Grandma says, a mischievous smirk stretching across her face. Which is why I told her to meet you in Ringe Square in 5 minutes, to help you with whatever you've got planned for tonight. Which is a really dumb fucking thing to do. Because unless she called all 3 of the people to meet in different places, she could have chose completely wrong. And if she had done that, there'd been 2 disappointed mentees. You open your mouth to protest, but know it's no use. Arguing with Grandma once she has made up her mind is mind-numbingly futile. So you simply nod, jaw clenched. This is gonna certainly be interesting. Before you go, you walk over to say goodbye to Bronzina, stroking her petals for good luck. And for heaven's sake, Lucy, Grandma starts, once again looking more worried than understand. Please be careful out there. You nod at Grandma, and it'll be hard to screw things up worse than you did last time. In your room, you prepare for takeoff, checking over your costume one last time. Then you look up at the poster of your parents, causing another streak of guilt to run through you. Maybe you should write to them. But then you stop yourself, thinking that nothing has changed. You've been left to live your life without your parents, so that's exactly what you're going to do. Instead, you glance over at the poster of Rebellion, thinking that getting to her level seems further away than ever before. Chapter 7, Ganged Upon. Tarana Rain is late. Already, this whole sidekick themes thing seems like a bad idea. You wait in Ringe Square alone, feeling a bit self-conscious in your costume. Grandma knew you had to meet Toronto Rare somewhere public to protect your identity, but she could have chosen a better location. This park is a notorious drug center. Feel the eyes of dealers on you from all around, waiting to see why you're here. Not to mention some punk kid recognized you, shout about how his dog could probably be a better hero than you. What a great first brush with fame, you think? He would also swear one of them is taking photos of you, but before you can locate the source of the flash, your meat chip pulses alert. Dear, I found an update on that sweet hero you like so much, Poppy says. I can't blame you, she really is dreamy. Turning red, you ignore Poppy and open the news blog clip. The Millennial Group gets a touch of magic. Black magic to become the group's newest member. As you read this headline, your heart nearly stops beating. Black magic blazed onto the hero scene after single-handedly protecting MC from a foreign terrorist incursion last year. Even though her origin remains completely shrouded in mystery, Black magic is currently MC's most famous solo hero, especially after receiving the latest Millennia City's Hero of Tomorrow grant, which is the most esteemed honor that can be bestowed upon any aspiring hero. It doesn't hurt that Black magic is absolutely gorgeous either. Despite the mainstream hype, you can't help but be attracted to Black magic, mostly because of her striking resemblance to your biggest crush, an old-time celebrity icon from back in the days when normal people were famous. I don't feel like doing a custom one. We'll go Natalie Portman. Why not? And all three are pretty, but it's like, they're celebrities. Black magic's a dead ringer for Natalie Portman. You think she might actually be a direct descendant, but no one knows enough about her past to be sure. Actually, wait a second. This is supposed to be like 80, 90 years in the future or so? Why the like, Natalie Portman is great, don't get me wrong. But is she big enough to, like, be remembered that far ahead of her time? Like, I can only name a couple of famous actors from the the black and white era of film. And most of them I haven't even seen a lot of their works. It's just they're really well known. Oh, actually, a quick pause. Apparently, we've got to level up in Spirit City. Let's go ahead and just get through that. Reach 2 rank, which we can now attempt to unlock the teapot. Quick check. Welcomes a day with a cup of tea by the fire. Hungry spirit for cooking around lunchtime. Yeah, I don't feel like doing either of those, but we'll go ahead and change our activity to some gaming. Just look at that background, which will change to evening. Nice and cozy. But anyway, you've always been fine being alone, especially since you haven't had much choice in the matter. Still, there's something about black magic. Whenever you see her, you feel like you might want more. It appears your biggest crush has just joined your favorite powered team. The combination is enough to leave you breathless. You imagine yourself in that holographic photo next to Black Magic, your hand secretly on her back behind the cameras. You'd be the hottest celebrity couple on MC's biggest team. Then your mind wanders to the 4-poster bed in Black Magic's bedroom. The only light coming from a dozen burning candles. Black Magic's soft skin pressed against yours. She kisses your stomach and down below your belly button. Then we're interrupted. Hello? Your sharp voice say, pulling you back to reality. You turn to find Tarana Rain standing next to you, arms crossed. She wears thigh-high boots with 5-inch heels and a tight white costume, which pops against her dark brown skin. Wow, you say, without thinking? Nothing about Tarana's outfit is the least bit practical for heroing, especially not the diamond earrings, which probably cost more than your apartment. Of all the lame-ass heroes they could have stuck me with, I get the reject who couldn't even handle an ancient accessory. Tarana seethes, eyeing you as if you have leprosy. Looking exhausted, she reaches down into her boot and pulls out a flask. Mommy needs a shot. Aren't you only... Relax. I generate water, remember? The excess moisture in my body keeps me so hydrated it would take an entire distillery to catch a buzz. Tarana says, downing half the flask in a gulp. Still, it takes the edge off if I lace it with some ludes. Now, are we going to off some baddies or what? You stare at Tarana, speechless. You really picked a winner here, didn't you? We're gonna break up the Anna Gang rumble, you say. Dog, there's no going back now. You've got to give this whole sidekick thing at least one night or Grandma might kill you. What the fuck is an Anna Gang? Tarana says, taking another long pull from her flask. Is that some kind of weird hood thing? Oh dear. With the splice circle in upheaval, the Anna Gangs have decided it's the perfect time to try and wipe each other out to serve the new leader with a competition. So the Scales and the Cloven have been trying to kill each other in the streets all week, leading up to one final rumble rumored to be tonight, in an abandoned electric plant on the outskirts of Fridges. After watching the Gravitas case, you decide that stopping gang violence in the Fringes, violence you helped escalate in the first place, would be an excellent, smaller-scale way to start rebuilding your reputation. On your way to the plant, you fly beside Tarana. She can move through the air by shooting jets of water from her hands and feet like high-pressure hoses. The problem is she moves considerably slower than you. You have to exert extra power to fly slowly enough for her to not fall behind. You are kept mildly entertained, however, as people on the streets below are drenched by the excess water pouring down from Tarana's flight. How long will this take? I've got a hair appointment later. You're about to respond when you notice Tarana's me chip flashing away on her wrist. She's mentally texting while flying. This girl's gonna get herself killed and be all your fault. What on earth possessed you to pick her? So, how do your parents feel about you heroing, you ask, remembering the reason? Tarana looks at you, sending over some grade A death shade. Is that why you picked me? Because of who my parents are? You pause for a moment, considering your answer. Picked you because you seem like you needed the most training. Yeah, sure thing, Miss Screw-Up. Tarana laughs hysterically. Well, the joke's on you, because my parents don't even know I'm here. They don't want me to be here at all. Perfect, you think? Not only will Tarana's media connections not help you, but if her parents find out about you working with her, they'll definitely torpedo your career even deeper. Don't look so thrilled, wannabe. Even though she'd probably kill you if she knew, Tarana looks ever so slightly defeated. She must have to deal with people using her all the time. After that, you and Tarana continue your flight in silence. There we go. You finally approach the abandoned electrical plant way later than you expected. Can't believe I'm going to stop a gang fight, Tarana says a little bored. That's so low budget. Can't we do something a little flashier? Just worried about getting out alive, you say, reaching an end, and follow my lead. Wannabe, Tarana says, dropping down behind the plant. I think you should be following my lead. I've so got this. And you sigh, diving down after Tarana. Here goes nothing. You crash through a broken window, followed closely by Tarana Rain. What you see makes you both freeze. You're too late. Dozens of anti-gangsters already cover the ground, lifeless and emptied. Also strewn among them are the bodies of 7 heroes, all wearing brown and red costumes. At least you hope that red is from their costumes. You gasp as you realize that all of them are really young, probably some amateur youth startup team that tried to make a name for itself by stopping the rumble. You're about to question the wisdom of bringing your brand new teen sidekick into this mess, but your attention is stolen by the vicious battles taking place below you. A few dozen anti-gangsters remain standing, their movements blurring together. Lizard tails and venomous fangs rip into coarsely haired flesh. Cloven hooves and twisted antlers bash thin, scaled torsos everywhere you look. Oh no, you say, frozen in the air. The scene is more grisly than you ever could have imagined. Tarana Rain looks just as horrified, despite her big talk just a moment ago. Unfortunately, her powers can't keep her hovering next to you, so she begins to plummet down toward the fray, terror-stricken. You You swoop down to scoop Toronto Rain up, flying to the edge of the plant to drop her off. Listen to me. Do not get involved in the fighting, you shout. I just want you to get all those fallen heroes to safety. Can you do that for me? Toronto Rain doesn't even blink, still frozen with fear. You bet she's never seen anything quite as gruesome as a fringe gang fight before. Can you do that for me? You shout louder, trying to snap her out of it. Toronto Rain finally nods, so you spin around and dive into the fray. You've got to stop this brawl now. We're gonna slam the ground with giant energy fists, disrupt the fighters. Actually, no, we should do it from range. It's the same cost. You condense a compact ball of energy between your palms, supercharging it. When it's ready to blow, you toss into the center of the fray. Explosion rocks the floor, sends anti-gang members reeling across the plant, completely battered and disorganized. You can make out the sound of Toronto Rain's voice cheering you on in the background. You smile, think that this might go smoothly after all. But before you can finish your thoughts, something sharp sinks into your shoulder. You scream as you feel fangs rip at your flesh. Instinctively, you let out a strong energy pulse and the grip loosens. You whip around to see a blonde girl falling to the ground, her hair flared in the shape of a cobra's head. As she hits the floor, you can see her blood dripping from her fangs. Ignoring the sight, you turn your attention back to the remaining anti-gangsters, knowing they'll probably attack you before tearing back into each other. You raise your arms, throw up an energy shield, but find that they've gone numb. Within seconds, you feel the numbness travel down your spine, then your legs give out, which is bullshit, because it sounded like we would be staying flying above after throwing a grenade. There must have been some kind of venom in Cobra Girl's bite, because you're now paralyzed from the neck down. You swift your head desperately to see the gang brawl start up again all around you. It won't be long before one of them comes to finish you off. I moved those other heroes out the line of fire, you hear Toronto Rain shout from somewhere nearby. Why are you lying there? That cover girl bit me and now I can't move, you say. Thankfully you can at least speak. Can you get me out of here? Toronto Rain steps over to you and tries to move you, but then her face goes blank. The gang members, they're coming for us. Toronto Rain, listen to me. You have to make a stand. Toronto looks ghostly. I don't think I can do this. Pull yourself together. Just do what I tell you. You study Toronto Rain's powered profile while you're waiting for her, so you know how to utilize her abilities in ways she probably doesn't even know herself. We're gonna create a flood to wash the gangsters out. Splash and dash. Toronto Rain looks down at you like you're insane. However, as several anti-gangsters start to close in for the kill, she gets it together. Closing her eyes tightly, Toronto Rain stretches her arms over her head, begins to scream at the top of her lungs. Immediately, you feel the ground tremble, and you turn your head toward the far wall. You just begin to buckle, trickles of water pushing through. Wait, Toronto, what are you doing? That's not what I told you, you start to say, but it's no use. Before you can finish, the wall gives way and a tsunami crashes through, carrying massive chunks of concrete with it. Your jaw drops. There's no way anyone here will survive that wall of water. Not even you and Toronto. Close your eyes. At least your body's still numb, so you shouldn't feel much of anything when the water hits. You just hope that you don't end up drowning to death. Then you feel your body jerk violently and twist up into the air. You clench your jaw, expecting a rush of cold water, but all you feel is a sprinkle of mist. You open your eyes and find yourself in Toronto's arms, rocking into the sky above the tsunami. Below, the remaining anti-gangsters swirl around, desperately trying to survive the whirlpool. Holy fuck, you whisper, as the tidal pool winds down, gushing out the exits. You can't tell if anyone survived. All you know is that no one on the ground is moving. Once the flood clears, Toronto hose rockets you back to the ground and places you down. I didn't know I could do that, Toronto says. Then, before she can say another word, Toronto Rain faints. Fuck, you think as you lie in the now silent plant, completely paralyzed? This is not good. 2 hours later, you're back in Ringe Square, having healed yourself enough to fly both you and Toronto back across the fringes. Of course, it's not till you're about to land that she starts to wake up. What happened? I healed myself and got us out of there just as the ambulances were arriving, you answer. I figured neither of us needed any official attention for that mess. Oh, that would have been just perfect, Tarana says, attempting to stand. That's just what I need. For my parents to know I'm heroing behind their backs. At least you have a few brain cells still functioning. Now where the fuck is my flask? You're insane, Tarana. I like it. Ew, are you hitting on me? Tarana says, fishing the sloggy flask out of her boot. You're like 100 years old. Listen, I've got to go, you say, ignoring that last remark. That was a very impressive display back there. If we can get you to learn how to control it, that wasn't control, then you might really turn into an A-list heroine, you finish. Now get out of here. You're very late for your hair appointment. Fuck! Tarana screams, immediately hose-rocking herself back in the sky. See you later, wannabe. You may not know her very well yet, but you have a feeling this is going to be the beginning of a special partnership. As you watch her go, you try not to think about what a close call that just was. Once Tarana Rain is out of sight, you reach down to your meat chip to make a call. I was waiting for you to bring me back, you intolerable sloot, Jenny says as her holographic image pops up. Meet me in 10 minutes, you say. You've got a lot to talk about. As you take off again, you can swear that you can see more flashes coming from across the park. But you don't have time for that right now. Stopping the Anna Gang rumble was a good move, but it's not enough. You're treating a symptom, like a band-aid on a wound that needs stitches. No, you know what you really need to do now. You need to cut off the Anna Gang problems at its source. You need to take down the supply circle. That's a bit quick for your third job ever. But Chapter 8, The Vigilante. Where do we stand after our mission with our little sidekick? Our offense is up to almost 60. Our lawful is back up, though we haven't done much for justice yet. And we tried to be a team player, so it stayed about there, and Legend went up another 2 points, I think. Our sidekick is growing on us, I guess. As we fly to meet Jenny, your thoughts are consumed with Tarana Rain and your own younger years. It makes you wonder why Jenny is not just your PIF agent, she's also your best friend. When your life was turned upside down by your parents' imprisonment, and you moved in with Grandma, you couldn't talk to any of your old friends. Going from your sheltered private school to the rougher public school was a big change, especially as you began to learn that there are all kinds of social complications to being powered. The Anna Gang rivalries in the Eastern Fringes are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to powered politics. Entire textbooks have been written on the subject, so to say that powered kids are cliquey would be an understatement. Upon arriving at your new school, there is one group that immediately tortured you the most. Let's go with the telepaths. Telepaths are notoriously the most insular powereds, only wanting to have lightning-fast psychic interactions with one another. Telepaths targeted you because if there's anything teenagers hate most, it's when they can't squeeze you into a specific group. And you had a lot of trouble finding a group, even though you tried to befriend the other flyers. No, the other energy wielders. That backs up our offensive nature. However, energy wielders hate flyers based on some age-old feud dating back to the earliest powered individuals. Apparently, the first flyer and the first energy wielder were mortal enemies. Which is fucking dumb. Why would you do that as the basis of your clicks? Whatever. Since you both have flight and energy powers, you were seen as a particularly heinous gene hazard. No one wanted you in their group, and as a result of your solo status, you were hounded by just about everyone at school. You can imagine Tarana Rain at her fancy, private, powered school, with trained social mediators and guidance counselors. You also bet Tarana Rain, with her elemental power set, must be one of the popular girls. She probably would have tortured you in high school. Though you know exactly what to do, because when you're at school you handle the social politics by always trying to make friends, despite how the other kids treat me. Never give up hope. You weren't ever going to let other people tell you what you could or couldn't have, so always tried your best to make as many friends as you could. Still, you felt very alone. Actually, you've always felt alone, but it's not something you allow yourself to give much thought to. It's just the way things are. There are some things in life you can't control. The only thing you control is how hard you work to change everything. You're meeting Jenny at your favorite spot, the Vigilante, MC's largest comic/game/collectible store, which luckily happens to be open 24 hours. Occupying 4 stories, the Vigilante is practically a department store for all things hero-related. You and Jenny always meet in one of the private game rooms, usually over your favorite virtuous reality games. "Sorry, Lucy, I'm afraid there's no time for fun today," she says, sitting down. As usual, she wears her ponytail pantsuit uniform, though you notice she's added an unexpected red heel to the ensemble. "I hear you've been rather busy. Too busy to return my calls, it seems." I know, but before you rip into me, let me tell you my side of the story." 20 minutes later, having heard every detail of your first hero night, Jenny pauses to mull it all over. "Well, you certainly dove headfirst into the deep end, didn't you? Ever heard of paying your dues? Climbing the ladder? There's a reason people aren't supposed to skip steps, Ferris. You should have called for help. You should have, Jenny. I get it. I took on too much too fast. Which is exactly why I went back to basics earlier tonight. I stopped the Anagang rumble. Well, that's certainly smarter, though no less dangerous, place to start. Still, you've dug yourself quite a hole here." "Yes, I did. You say, tired of mulling over the horrors of your situation. So what are we going to do now to make it better?" "I suppose that's the spirit. Well, I'll start looking to Prodigal, though there's not much to go on. Back Kevlar bodysuits are pretty common purchases these days. I could look into her power set, but I bet she's not registered. It's clear that she has some kind of mad-on for you, though. Perhaps you have your first genuine villain stalker." "Yeah, right. You say, wishing you were enough of a somebody for that to be true. She probably saw that silly hero press post and won me out of her way. She's just another nobody trying to make a name for herself. Still, anything you can find would be helpful. I'm on it. Now, before we move on to the Splice Circle, I've got a briefing prepared for you. All the basics on powered heroing, plus some gems of advice. You want to go over it now?" Yeah, I can use all the help I can get." "Good," Jenny says, glancing down at her chip. "Inspector Detector will forward you the folder. There's a PIF handbook on heroing in there, but since you're maintaining a secret identity, you've already got most of it covered. The more interesting stuff involves some comprehensive information on powered history and science." Suddenly, Jenny's chip, Inspector Detector, British man in a long trench coat, appears in your mind holding a folder. Poppy appears to take it from him, and as they begin to chat, you start to read the contents. "Powered humans, a brief history." Fairly certain you already know most of this information, you begin to skim the articles, catching glimpses of paragraphs here and there. Humans first began developing extraordinary talents in the late 21st century, all appearing in the same generation and spanning across the globe. On the heels of the Industrial Revolution, the Millennial Tech Boom, and the Energy Regenesis, the powered Renaissance has been marked as the next great step in human history. You stop reading, scrolling through a different document. Had evolved beyond racism, sexism, and sexual orientationism, but these hot-button issues were quickly supplanted by geneism. The first crop of powered individuals, or powards, as they were soon dubbed, though less polite circles referred to them as gene hazards, were greatly shunned by the general public. So many of these international powered individuals fled to Millennia City, an emerging urban center on the American West Coast, where they would be free to form their own community. Backed by the United States government, which realized that fast-acting acceptance and regulation of powered individuals could kickstart a resurgence in their declining prominence against the then-dominant world power, China, the American-powered Renaissance began, solidified by both the Powered Citizen Equality Act and the creation of the Department for the Regulation of Powered Resources. The world's first powered heroes began to flourish in America's Millennia City, sparking a cultural trend that would sweep the globe, though anti-powered regulations in China remained as tightly controlled as many credit First Lady Christine Bush, wife of the first gay president, with pushing President Cuneen, maybe, into proven pro-power regulation. So first off, bullshit. The United States government does not realize anything fast, let alone accept it. Regulation, I believe. Regulation that in later generations had to be either defined or removed because they were hasty, I can also believe. China becoming dominant world power, I can absolutely believe by the way they handle their economy. Not perfect, no, but fucking better than the States. Especially right now with the Oompa Loompa. Yeah, just had to get that out there. So you keep skimming, hoping to find some tidbit you don't already know. As it is widely known, the progress of the millennial tech boom curved off with the onset of the Third World War, which in turn sparked the perfection of nuclear technology that spawned the energy regenesis, at the unthinkable cost of losing a sizable portion of northern Russia at the fusion eclipse. Many scientists have posited that, in light of this massive world upheaval, human evolution took the next leap to satisfy society's inefficiencies. With technology now eliminating the need for many basic human functions, with the energy crisis seemingly solved, humanity was free to unlock further potential in their genomes and take on new abilities. But yeah, I think we're gonna skip most of this because it's history stuff that won't immediately affect this game. In the following games, yes. Especially the Meek. But stop reading, looking up Jenny with an eye roll. Come on, I know my hero history inside, out, and backward. Don't you have anything new for me? As a matter of fact, I do, Jenny says. I got a special tip for you. We're going to receive a fighting tip. When fighting with your powers, the smartest thing you can do is consider the appropriate level of force. It's important not to use too much power, but equally important not to use too little. Assessing the appropriate level of power necessary for certain battles can mean the difference between life and death. You nod at Jenny, thinking that even though this seems like common sense, you never really thought about exactly those terms before. Even better, if the knowledge increases the current ceiling of your power to 120. Alright, so you started to find mess with the splice circle, Jenny says. One of my contacts at the downtown precinct interrogated Tracker. Turns out Smither didn't just want the gravitas to increase his offensive powers, he's also trying to expand into the ancient weapons business. He contracted Tracker to acquire the gravitas, became the Splice Circle's newest general. Apparently Tracker already had his gene-deep penile enlargement scheduled, which Jenny lets out a giggle, but quickly pulls herself back to seriousness. There was some concern within the Splice Circle that the blatantly illegal nature of Smither's latest enterprise was too bold, so Madame Vice began placing her ducks in a row for a coup, a move she had been waiting to make since Smither dumped her. Then Prodigal showed up, you villain, taking out Smither, giving Madame Vice the chance she needed to make her move. Right you are. Here's the latest intel on the Splice Circle operation, Jenny says, sending another Inspector Detector me message. So, Boss Smither, deceased. Boulder, deceased. Crime generals. Lolly is an emerging underboss. Casing, deceased. Fracture, deceased. Tracker, incarcerated. And as for the business generals, the Shed Club is Madame Vice is the emerging boss. Kirkpatrick is merely missing. Yuan W. in the Fetch Sinden is an emerging counselor. Third degree, still deceased. Our intel isn't perfect, but as far as we can tell, as soon as Smither went down, Madame Vice made her move. She had already recruited the female-centered generals, Juan W. and Lolly, bringing the club, Sinden, and prostitution ring together. However, the former underboss, Casing, made a play for his rightful ascension just as fast. But Madame Vice moved faster Jenny fishes. Since Casing's body washed up on the docks this morning. Looks like someone's been rather busy, you say. Think that all you've done the past couple weeks was stop an Anagang rumble. Madame Weiss has already seized control of the circle and started restructuring. But there was a hiccup with Kirkpatrick. Jenny starts. Do you remember who Static was? Yeah, the champion of the fringes hero. Well, it turns out he hasn't been heard from because he abandoned the Cape route and went undercover. Static was Kirkpatrick, Jenny says, almost proudly. Turns out he has the power to avoid all forms of mind control, making him the perfect mold against hypno-powereds like Smitherd and Madame Weiss. When Smitherd went down, Kirkpatrick panicked and got trigger-happy. No one knows exactly how. Madame Weiss found him out, and he's been missing since. Any hunches, you ask? Not wanting to think about what's probably happening to Static/Kirkpatrick right now. Apparently... Wait, I'll move now. Okay. Apparently, Kirkpatrick has been collecting evidence against the Splice Circle for months, waiting for the right time to strike. The police think Madame Weiss has taken him hostage, trying to find the location of his evidence stockpile. She needs to get her hands on it for the new and improved Splice Circle to survive, not to mention her cement her boss status. Jenny then looks at you, growing serious. Here's the thing. Only the MCPD and Madame Weiss know about this evidence, which gives you a unique opportunity here. If you find that stockpile, it will help the police take down both Weiss and Splice. I don't think I have to tell you what happens if the Splice Circle destroys that evidence and finishes restructuring. I'll be at the top of their target list. But so will Prodigal. The Splice Circle probably already has information on her that we don't, so taking them out may also help lead you to her. So if I find the evidence stockpile, I give the police exactly what they need to arrest the Splice Circle at their weakest juncture. In this process, I clear my name and salvage my rep as a hero. And as a bonus, I might learn something about this prodigal lady. This seems like a no-brainer. Precisely, Jenny says, smirking. So what the fuck are you waiting for? I'm not waiting for anything. Fast and clean is how I roll. This is the second chance to get things right after that terrible first night. Best of all, if you are successful in shutting down the Splice Circle and saving Static, you'll surely be seen as the next champion of the fringes. An excellent way to prove you're a hero committed to justice. Yeah, but Jenny, how am I going to find the evidence faster than the police, Madame Weiss, or some other meddling hero, you ask? I'm not a detective. That's a lucky break with Tracker's fingertips. Well, you better start getting used to some intrigue-solving almighty Ferris, Jenny proclaims. Besides, you were in Smith's headquarters and you confronted Madame Weiss. So I'm betting you saw and heard things in there that might help you, even if you don't know what they are yet. The real question is, Jenny says with a wink, where are you going to start? Chapter 9, Case Magic, which we probably won't finish within the time limit, we'll see. As we leave the Vigilante, we squint against the rising sun. Morning has arrived already, but you're too tired for the mission to be tired. Your eyes adjust to the light just in time to catch another flash out the corner of your eye. Why does this keep happening? Is this some side effect of your energy powers you haven't experienced before? Maybe someone's following you. You find your answer, however, as you look to the corner and see a woman waving at you. It's Sonia Chawla, the reporter who published the Gravitas stories about you. How long have you been following me? He asks as you approach, not in the mood for niceties, especially not with this woman. How long have you been seeing flashes you can't quite spot? Sonia asks, speaking so quickly her words blur together. You only saw me now because I wanted you to, for the record. Great. And thanks so much for the glowing article on the Gravitas case. I really enjoyed it. I don't create the packs, I just report them, Sonia says impatiently. If you want a good story, do better next time. Sonia's eyeballs suddenly flash bright, white light, taking a mental picture of you. Literally. Appears she has some kind of optic photographic power. The residual twinkling in your eyes catches on the dozens of gold bracelets lining Sonia's wrist. She's a short Indian woman with 2 thick braids of hair tied into a bun, wearing shade upon indiscernible shade of black. Her liquid brown eyes twitch back and forth, no doubt taking mental notes in your meeting. Anyway, I've been following you for an in-depth piece, Sonia says, beginning to pace as she speaks. You'd be flattered. I wanted to ask if I could have further access to your life as a hero, not to break your secret identity, of course, but simply permission to follow you. All of your in-costume escapades. Well, it's quite the offer. What do you think? I'm not really sure, but I do know that Sonia's probably going to follow me no matter what I say. So I might as well say yes and have her on my good side. That's fucking teamwork! Fine, but there will be conditions as to an excellent choice and cut you off. I'll give you a heads up before the article comes out, as courtesy, but you won't be seeing me again. And before you can respond, there's another bright white flash. When your eyes finally recover, Sonia is gone. Well, excited to see what kind of article Sonia will put together. You make sure to strike a pose while flying into the air, just in case she's still watching. As you go, you also decide your next move should be to... The apartment seems the obvious choice. So there's probably someone from the supply circle there. Meanwhile, we know someone's going to be at the rival bar, so might as well do that. 15 minutes later, you sit at the bar of the rival, order your favorite soda so you can check out the place. As you look around, you're surprised by how nice the place is compared to its scuzzy clientele. You bet you can't swing your arm in here without finding some kind of criminal. Thought to keep in mind for future cases. What interests you most, however, is a large woman sitting in a back booth with 2 police officers. From the look of her crocodile skin and spiked alligator tail, you guess that she's the newcomer of the rival, which would also make her Madame Vice's newest general. Seeing that the croc lady is busy, you figure this is the perfect time to look for some clues Kirkpatrick may have left behind. Leave a tip on the bar and walk toward the bathroom. Once you reach the back corridor, you slip behind a door marked Employees Only, and immediately spot a door that reads Owner's Office. Jackpot. You break in unseen, breathing a sigh of relief. That is, until you see the place. It has been turned upside down, completely ransacked by the police and Madame Vice's crew, you assume. If there were ever any clues to be found here, you doubt there are any left at this point. Still, you feel there's no harm in trying to freeze! You hear someone shout from behind. Keep your cool, turn around to find 2 police officers standing in the doorway, aiming their guns at you. Perfect. As you stand face to face with the officers, you try to decide how to handle the situation. You have to consider what has happened between you and the police so far. At best, they absolutely hate you, and at worst, they think you're a fugitive. Still, maybe now's the best time to set the record straight. Better decide quickly. Well, let's see. We're pretty lawful. We're trying to be a team player. We're going to try and talk this over. Hey, listen. You say, I'm the hero who worked with Officer Sanders to help capture Tracker and find the gravitas. I'm here to see if I can help find the static evidence, too. The officers eye each other, obviously not expecting you to have that much information. Sierra Ferris, the hero that screwed everything up, first officer says, her gun's still trained on you. I'd say I'm the hero who solved the case, then had some trouble keeping some maniacs from killing each other, you say. But that's just my take. Officers look at each other again and nod, then lower their weapons. You really screwed us on the gravitas case, second officer says. Just do us a favor and get out of here. I saw some things while I was in the Supply Circle's headquarters. Maybe I could help to identify. Don't get involved. You won't get this chance twice. You nod, moving to leave. This isn't exactly an ideal response, but at least the police let you go. You fly to a nearby rooftop trying to decide what to do. You're obviously not going to pull out of the case no matter what. You're thinking maybe you go to another location you passed up when you hear a thud on the roof behind you. When you turn around, you're rather stunned to be standing face to face with black magic. You blink several times, sure your eyes are deceiving you, but they're not. That really is black magic, your biggest crush, standing right in front of you. I've had quite the time tracking you down, black magic says. I need your help with something. Black magic. The famous, gorgeous, amazing black magic has been looking for you? This cannot be real. You are Ferris, aren't you? Black magic asks, starting to look concerned. You still get a thrill when anyone says your codename, but hearing black magic say it sends a shock through your entire body. You look her over, happy to find she looks as much like Natalie Portman in person as she does in photos. Black magic wears a sleek black costume with a golden zipper running up the front, which she leaves partially undone, letting some cleavage show. The costume hugs her figure in all the right places. Best of all, you really love that black magic is... I don't like black magic like that. I prefer Jenny Yu the handler, though I can't do anything in the first game, sadly. Sure, she's hot, but who cares? That's not what you're here for. Speechless, are we? Black magic asks with a smirk. Yes, I'm Ferris, you say, snapping out of it. Why exactly do you need me? Well, I heard you were the hero who helped with the Gravitas investigation, Black magic says, coming closer to you. Hold on. Black magic whips around and mutters, Gyainer Skiriop, encasing the roof in a bubble of shimmering blue light. Which I think this is anagrab territory, because this looks like obscure. Oh, energy obscure. Yeah. You're about to ask what she's doing until you see a duo of paparazzi on a nearby rooftop trying to snap pictures. Black magic must have cast a spell to protect the two of you from their cameras. Sorry about that. Thought I lost them across town, Black magic says, turning back to you. Anyway, I assume you also know about the Kirkpatrick static connection, if you're back snooping for evidence. You nod, desperately trying to keep your eyes on Black magic's face, which is equally as distracting as her body, unfortunately. Alright. The MCPD has looped the Millennial Group into their investigation of the Splice Circle, since they'll need a power team to take down Madame Vice and her new Splice Circle if that evidence is found. I'm the new kid on the group's block, so Rebellion dispatched me to help the MCPD find the evidence stockpile. Plus I have a particular hatred for Madame Vice. You want to know what that's all about, but first you have to decide how you want to play things with black magic. Keep things professional. This is my career, after all. So, how can I help? You ask. Still not quite believing your luck here? Black magic? Asking you for help. You, of all people. You better not screw this one up. Oh, you can help me in so many ways, Black magic says, looking you up and down for the first time. Feeling her eyes on you, your heart threatens to explode. The police let me go through Static's things, she says, get back to business. Even though they didn't find anything, I got some weird vibes off of this pen. But I have no idea what it is. Black magic pulls out a fancy black pen, your eyes practically bulge out of your head. There's a tiny golden orb at the end of the pen, same as the one that's on the tip of Madame Vice's whip. It's a telolock. I was hoping you might know what this is from your splice run-ins, Black magic says, placing a hand on your shoulder. A touch that threatens to buckle your knees. Fuck, does she smell good. So, does it ring any bells? Of course, if that is a telolock, it's probably the only way to access the secret place where Static has stockpiled evidence against the Splice Circle. But if you tell Black magic this, you'll have to work together, assuming she decides to include you in the next step of the investigation at all. However, if you don't tell Black magic, getting a hold of that pen might be tricky business. Yes, I'd love to work with Black magic, and if I'm really lucky, the Millennial Group. As a matter of fact, I know exactly what... Suddenly your brain feels like it is split open. You fall to the ground, wondering if someone is taking an ice-cold blade and plunge it directly into your temple. Several images also begin to flash through your mind. Much younger Black magic stands in front of a much younger Madame Vice in a dimly lit room. Madame Vice's grin on her face as black magic begins to dance, peeling off her costume. Just as soon as this image sears itself into your brain, another replaces it. This time you're in a bed and black magic hangs over you, her lips lightly touching your neck. As much as you like that last image, it burns so badly you think you might pass out. Then the pain disappears as quickly as it came. What the fuck? Trying to ignore the dull buzzing at the base of your skull. I'm sorry, I couldn't risk you lying at me, Black Magic says. Thought swap is one of my more painful spells, but it was necessary. Is that what you try to say, still finding hard to form words? I saw we swapped our most prominent thoughts, Black Magic explains. I saw your knowledge of the telelock. You saw my knowledge of my first meeting, Madame Vice, from the beginning of my career. I was having a hard time pushing that thought from my mind today. And the other scene? The second scene is where our thoughts met, Black Magic says with a grin, eyes boring into you. Like the way your brain feels, by the way. That wasn't necessary, Black Magic. But Black Magic just walks across the roof away from you. Knew that pen was emitting some kind of special energy, she continues. Telelocks are tricky things. I know a spell that can activate it, but I need to recharge. That thought swap took quite a lot out of me. We should head back to the Millennial Group headquarters. You're about to tell Black Magic that you were able to override a telelock your own a few weeks ago, but you stopped yourself. Millennial Group HQ is supposed to be one of the most amazing buildings in all of MC. No matter what your feelings on team-ups are, you're not going to pass up an opportunity to see how real heroes live. Maybe even meet some of them. The excitement doesn't have much time to settle, however. Something long and metal suddenly screeches between you and Black Magic, crackling with grey energy. Watch out! Black Magic screams, but it's too late. Because that's where we're going to end off today. We're actually not going to continue Heroes Rides. So if you want to know what happens after this, I do hope you invest in Heroes Rise. I mean, it's more than a decade old at this point. And I had gotten it at the time as part of a pack, discounted. So if anyone is interested, let's see, go to the store page for, there it is. Store page, probably have to rapidly, pause that. Is it currently in a pack? Ooh, unfortunately for all the superpowers ones, but I will go ahead and share the link anyway. Because who knows? There may be a coming time where the trio of games based around this particular hero will go on sale again. But until then, let's go to the BRB screen and find someone to raid into. I need, where is, right, I closed that window, one sec. There. To Twitch. Safety mute. Okay, who is currently on? Let's see. Howlet's doing more of the mod pack Minecraft. Oh, but they're 4 hours in. They might be starting to wrap up. So, Scout Mag's doing charity stream day 2. They're also about 4 hours in. Ooh, Julie Jello. What about them? Almost 9 hours. Nope. Gothic Valkyrie is, 3. I'm trying to summon someone who's not. Oh. Nah. just chatting. Oh, here we go. Akuma Miko. It's not even a full 40 minutes in. Let me copy. There we go. Copy. Will it let me raid? Let us find out. Yes. There we go. So with that, as always, my wonderful tome readers, I hope you guys are eating enough, drinking enough, getting enough sleep. Take care of your bodies. Your bodies can take care of you, especially if it's hot out. Stay on top of your water intake. Gatorade, after you're doing physical activity 2, where you sweat a lot, you got to get your electrolytes back. You got to get that salt back. Your body needs it. If you don't, you're going to ache longer in the recovery process. Yeah, I will see you guys again. Expect more news about the charity stream towards the end of the month. It's starts the 27th, middle of the day, running towards, I believe, the middle of the day on the 29th, a Sunday. And I will have a late night / early morning, depending on your time zone. But look forward to more news, and I'll see you guys around.